No, man, but you got to keep going. What am I going to do, quit? That's not an option. You got to keep on keeping on. Life's a garden, dig it? You make it work for you. You never give up, man. That's my philosophy.
Hey, gardeners. I hope you're having a great week. I am here in my office right now, just kind of looking over our calendar from 2024. I mean, it's already the end. It's December already. And I've just been kind of reflecting on all of these just amazing, amazing gardeners who've joined with us to have these just awesome gardening conversations on our Let's Get Growing show throughout the 2024 year. And I'm already starting to plan for 2025. So we've got lots and lots of great shows coming for you in the coming year. And I just really want to take a minute as well, too, to thank all of you for joining with us each and every week, contributing to the conversation and helping us create such a wonderful gardening show here on our channel, The Urban Gardener. And I can't thank you enough. And I look forward to bringing you some really great conversations here in the 2025 growing season. So, all right, everybody, let's get growing. I better put myself in there. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Get Growing show here on the Urban Gardener channel. I'm Enoch. I'm your host today. And we're just having a fun end of the year holiday special here today for our show. So thank you all so much for joining with me here. And I really appreciate everybody taking your time, again, like I said there at the beginning, to spend your time with us here, each and every week here on the Urban Gardener channel. And again, today we're just doing a special edition 2024 year in review show. So we're just going to be kind of hanging out together today, kind of talking about what's been going on here on the show this year. We'll kind of talk a little bit about next year. And we've got a couple of also great special guests with us here today as well, too, contributors to our show. A little bit here in just a few minutes, we'll talk with Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop. We've got Charles Malky joining us from Universal Studios. He's out with his family for a birthday day out there too, so he's going to be joining with us here in just a little bit later on the show. And then later on towards the end of the show, we'll bring in our great facilitator Jay Dixon, and we'll talk with her as well too. So just kind of a great hangout, a great kind of celebration of the 2024 season here on the Let's Get Growing show. It's been just such a wonderful, awesome year. All these great guests that we've had throughout the gardening season with us here on the show, and plus all of you as well too are taking your time each and every Saturday and Sunday to join with us here on the show and help make that conversation just as the best it can possibly be. And you guys are all really wonderful here each and every week, so I really look forward to what we've got growing on in 2025 as well too. So again too, if you are here joining with us here on the top of the show, definitely be sure to click that like button, hit the thumbs up, as well as subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Hit the bell notification to be notified of all of our upcoming videos and live streams and all of that we've got coming up here in 2025. Share with all of your garden friends too, and let them know about our wonderful show here that we have here, talking all about gardening with all these just amazing gardening content creators, authors, podcasters, YouTubers, Instagrammers, whoever is really out there making some really great gardening content for all of you out there. We'd just love to have them on the show and have these just awesome conversations. So again, thank you all so much. And a big, huge shout out to all of you who are joining with us on the replay. Thank you so much for joining with us here on the Let's Get Growing show on your time. And as we always say, please get down into the comments section if you're here on the replay. Let us know you're here. Let us know what you think of the show. If you got any questions, you got any ideas for some upcoming guests that we could possibly have in our 2025 season, I'd love to hear from all of you, even if you're just going to stop by and say hi. I really, really appreciate all of that. And remember, we are here every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, except for the next couple of weeks. We have our Sunday edition tomorrow, which will be our last show of 2024, and then we're going to take a couple of weeks off. I did set up the shows for the next couple of weeks. We won't be live or anything like that, but if you guys do, you guys are here every week, you're hanging out with each other and you're chatting with each other. If you do want to say hi to each other, maybe maybe discuss anything else or whatever too, you can always jump on into those links that we have there. The chat will always be open through that show until showtime's over. So if you're not doing anything and you're just used to being here, go ahead and jump into the chat, say hi, see who's there. Maybe I'll even jump in and say hi as well too. So again, we do got that winter break coming up for the next couple of weeks. We'll be right back at it though, January 4th, the weekend of January 4th. And here towards the end of the show, I will let you know who we've got coming onto the show for us. We've got a great lineup for our first weekend back, January 4th and 5th. So I'm really looking forward to getting back at it. Just a little bit different than from what we did last year. I mean, last year we took a big couple of months off for our winter break and everything, but this way we're only taking the holiday break, and then we're going to be right back at it in the new year. So I'm really looking forward to 2025. And again too, if you are here right now, definitely jump into the chat, join the conversation. If you do have any questions or comments or anything like that, definitely drop those into the chat as well. If you do have any questions though too, put those in big capital letters so I can see those from the conversation, and we can make sure that we get those asked and answered right here live on the show. And definitely follow all the links down below in the description to all of our other social media links and all of that too. Go and join with us and over on Instagram or on our Facebook page or other places that we are as well too. And again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. If you didn't get a chance to, also, at the beginning of the show, I like to always make sure that we're letting everybody know where we were. Last week, we did have our good friend Tony O'Neill from Simplify Gardening on the show. Tony was such a great conversation. We love having Tony on the show. So you'll definitely want to go back and check out last Saturday's show and that conversation. We also got to meet Michael Overstreet from The Garden Nerd, and really great to meet Michael and hear all about his gardening and growing season for the 2024 year as well too. And then again too, like I said, we do have our Sunday edition of the show. We'll be back tomorrow again for our Sunday edition. Will be the last show of 2024, but last Sunday we welcome back to the show our good friend Gardner Scott. He's been away a little while for the last couple months, but he's back at it again. We look forward to having him again for our second Sunday of the month. Each month he'll be back for January and so forth into 2025 as well too, to answer all of your gardening questions. And we're really looking forward to that as well too. So got lots and lots growing on here. Just myself, kind of tucking in for the holidays. We've got pretty much most of the work that we're going to get done for our winter prep out in the garden spaces. Most things are covered up and going. We've got a few things growing out there, and lots and lots of lettuces and all of that as well too. But we're also starting to really see some really, really cold weather starting to move in our area right here as well too. So it's definitely winter time, and we're and again too is that time as well for us to start reflecting back on our last year, to kind of examine and look back on what we were growing throughout the year, how they grew, what kind of things that we could do to improve how they were growing into our next growing season. So that's a great time for the cold weather and everything to get us indoors so that we can really start reflecting on what we were doing in our gardens, and then really start to plan out those garden spaces for this next growing season. I've got charts and maps and all sorts of different things going on, trying to make sure that we get our garden spaces the best that they can be for our 2025 season. We're adding in some new things. We're planning for things that that we keep as mainstays in our garden, and also looking at different types of varieties and things that can really help us out during some of those those parts of our growing season that some of our other varieties of certain things that we're growing weren't doing as well. We've talked about that as far as like tomatoes and things. Tomatoes here have grown really well this year. We've worked on some of those strategies over the last couple of seasons. The last couple of seasons, I couldn't get any tomatoes because of the heat waves and the amount of, heat that just really starts to hit us during the summertime here in Southern Oregon. But, we moved to some varieties that really work well in the summertime. So again, that's really helped out. So that's a good idea there too, for anybody else who's dealing with those sort of things as well too. Look for different varieties that will really, really be able to acclimate themselves well to your growing regions and all of that too. So got a lot of that stuff going on here in our garden spaces, and just lots and lots happening right now. There's always lots and lots happening for a gardener like myself, and I'm sure yourself as well too. I mean, if you're just as passionate about growing and gardening as I am, we're constantly gardening, we're constantly thinking and constantly learning about what we can do in our gardening spaces. So again, just really, really fun, a fun time of year. It's always fun each time of year, but again too, this one's really fun because, again, we get to reflect on what we did and then really think about this next year. I've talked about this analogy before. I'm a big baseball fan, and I love, I love the baseball season. My team, I don't know, it doesn't do very well each and every season, and sometimes my gardens are kind of like that as well too. So, again, we get to the end of the season, and then we also get to say that thing, well, you know what? There's always next season. So again, too, that's one of the fun things about gardening too, is that there's always next season as well for some of those things that, we might not have done as well at, or even, did really well. And we want to repeat it for next season as well too. So lots and lots of that sort of reflection going on right now. And again, I want to thank you all too for joining with us here today. Let's jump into the chat and see who we got with us today here. And of course, we got to say hi to our good friend and facilitator, Jay Dixon, joining us from Midwestern Ontario, Canada, jumping into the chat there with all those great links and helping move the conversation along throughout each of our shows. We'll have Jay on here just a little bit later on towards the end of the show. We'll talk with her a little bit too about her 2024 growing season. And then we've got our other moderator and my good friend Adam Burley from right down the road here in Southern Oregon in Central Point. Great to see you, Adam. Thanks for joining with us here. And then, of course, Rick joining with us nice and early, getting up early from the future there in Australia. Thank you so much for joining with us there. He says he'll be listening while shoveling mulch. Awesome. Get that mulch out there in the garden for sure. All right. Oh, I see that we've got Rob from Rob's Allotment Gardening join us from over in the UK. Thank you, Rob, for hanging out with us there, whereas Rick's joining us from bright and early in Australia. We got Rob joining us from the evening there in the UK. I think that's one of the things I love about this time slot that we do here on the weekends is it kind of allows for, each of our audiences, whether you're from Europe or the UK or all the way over in Australia, we can all kind of get together here. I know it's a little bit early in Australia though, but it's great to have you all here. Sam joining with us. Hello again, party people. Great to see you, Sam. Thanks for joining with us here. How to Garden jumping in the conversation too. Hello. Good to see you. Thanks for joining with us here. And look here, I see that we also got let's see. Oh, I'm moving along here. Let's see. We got John Jude joining with us here. Yeah. Thanks for joining with us. Jersey Girl jumping into the chat. If you are here with us right now and you're joining us, jump into the chat. Say hi. Love to hear from you. Drop in any comments or anything. We've got Grow It Alaska. All right. All the way from Alaska too. Again, I love it. Awesome. Let's see here. Make sure that we're not missing anybody. Big Will Dog in the soil joining with us as well too. Great to see you, Will. Right on. Everybody's already got a good conversation going on in the chat there too. Excellent. So don't be shy, everybody. If you are here joining with us, definitely jump in and say hi there as well too. And Excellent, excellent. Right on, right on. So again, too, this is just kind of like similar. We've done this a couple of times throughout the day. This is kind of a hangout day. We're just going to kind of hang out together. We're going to kind of have some fun, reflect back on our 2024 growing season, and again for us especially, reflecting back on this just wonderful 2024 year for us here on the Let's Get Growing show, because we're all about gardening conversations with some of the some of the best gardening creators and authors, and like I said, podcasters, Instagrammers, YouTubers, all of that. We love to have those really great conversations, and we've had some really, really amazing ones this year. And we'll kind of talk just a little bit more about that as we get moving along here today as well too. But right on, right on. So we're gonna get going here. We'll come right back here in just literally one quick moment, and we'll talk with our good friend Sarah from sarahseedshop.com. All right. Let's see. So again, one of the fun things about doing this show, and especially this year too, was during those breaks that we have during our show throughout the year, we've been blessed to have our good friend Sarah from Sarah's Seed Shop joining with us to give us some really great gardening trivia. So let's bring Sarah on. All right, Sarah. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you, Enoch?
Doing great. Just having a fun time today, thinking all about our 2024 growing season, and just, again, reflecting on just such a wonderful year here on the Let's Get Growing show. And one of the things that's made this year really special has been you joining with us each and every week, dropping in some great gardening trivia for everybody. And I just really want to be able to, here tell you thank you from me and everybody else for your contributions to our show this year.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been a learning experience. I never felt like I was, kind of a camera person, I never really liked to be in front of a camera, at least not since I've grown up. We have family videos that would say otherwise when I was a kid, but yeah, so being on the trivia videos, doing those trivia videos this year it's been fun. It's been a learning experience, like I say, just getting used to being in front of a camera again. And so I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I was saying is that ultimately it's getting in front of a camera and putting yourself out there is kind of a big thing, especially when you first get to it. I mean, I tell people, you want to see me in like I don't want to say worst, but at this, me at my most nervous and trying to get things going, go back to it. You can go see all of my very first videos I ever did here on YouTube. And I felt the same way too about getting in front of a camera, but eventually we kind of get into it and we figure it all out. And I did mention to you, we were talking yesterday as well too, that I think you've really come into your own as far as this whole segment and doing the trivia and everything. It's just, you've got it down. You do such a great job, and I think everybody else here on the show as well just really appreciates that added bit to the show as well too.
Yeah, I'm glad. I do feel like I've got my formula down. I do it the same way every week, but it makes it a little easier for me to think about, okay, what do I do here? What do I do here? It makes it easier to make the videos. So
yeah, that's great. So we're kind of talking about what's been growing on this year. How things going for you? I mean, you launched your seed shop and all of that, and you've been growing, and you've got your own garden and all of that as well. Kind of tell us a little bit about those things. How have things been growing for you this year?
really well, actually. the seed shop did great during the peak season, like January to March. Had quite a few sales and did really well. I felt tapered off after that, of course, because everyone's growing. No one's looking for seeds really in the middle of summer. Some people might be, but we had some sales throughout the summer, but that peak season during the spring, late winter, early spring was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And as far as my garden, I was really happy with how it did this year. It didn't get quite as taken over by weeds this year as it did in the past.
Right.
So, had a lot of great things growing: peppers, tomatoes, carrots, potatoes, sweet potatoes, garlic.
Yeah.
I tried to grow. At one point in the year, my goal was to grow everything that I have for sale in the seed shop, and that didn't quite happen.
Right.
I did grow quite a bit of what I have for sale just because I was curious, like if I ever got asked a question about any of them, I'd like to be able to say from experience,
Yeah, exactly.
the experience I had with this particular variety. So I did grow quite a few of them, and that was a lot of fun. So I've actually still got some broccoli and cauliflower and cabbages and even some carrots in my garden still. So I'm trying to see if I can get them to go through the winter. We'll see. It gets pretty cold here sometimes. But
Right.
hoping for some success with that. So yeah, it's been a great year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, too, for everybody out there, too, as you are starting to think about all of your growing and gardens this next year, you'll definitely want to get over there to Sarah's Seed Shop and get some of those garden seeds, some of those really essential seeds. You got lots of great varieties, and that everybody can grow in their garden. So I love to see everybody go over there and support Sarah at sarahseedshop.com and get your seeds for this next year. Let's make this next year even bigger and better. Right?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we've got about 60 different varieties right now, and maybe adding more at some point. So yeah, head on over to the website and check us out.
Yeah, definitely. So, all right. So this is, what we have you doing here on the show each and every week is to share with us some really fun garden trivia. And we're going to do that as well this week too. So here live on the show, what is our garden trivia question for this week?
So this week, the question I have is, which of the following evergreen varieties is most commonly used in the Christmas tree industry? A, Douglas fir, B, white pine, C, blue spruce, or D, Scotch pine?
All right. Great, appropriate question for the time of the year, right?
Yep.
Christmas trees. Which Christmas trees are the most widely sold throughout the Christmas tree industry? And if you got any ideas of what that answer could be, jump into our comments section there and let us know what you think here. And then, of course, we'll bring you back here just a little bit later in the show, and then we'll reveal the answer to everybody here too. So again, Sarah, thank you so much again too for just everything you do in each and week, everything, making sure that you get those trivia questions to us and everything, because it just really adds a lot to what we're doing here each week on the show.
Absolutely. I really appreciate the opportunity, like I say. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, you got it. All right. So we'll have Sarah right back here in just a little bit later on in the show, and we'll get everybody the answer to that trivia question. So, all right, we'll see you in just a little bit, Sarah.
All right. See you later.
All right. There we go. Excellent. And again, like I said, if you got if you think you know what the answer to the question is, jump into the chat there. Drop in your thoughts on the answer for that trivia question. And again, we'll have Sarah here just a little bit later here on the show, and we'll get that answer to the question for everybody. Right on. So moving right along here on the show. Another great addition to our show is, of course, having a great show like this, you've got to have a great sponsor for your show. And we've got just a really amazing sponsor. When I was starting and thinking about doing this show and thinking about what we could do as far as that goes, I knew there was one person I had to reach out to. There was one company that I knew that we definitely had to have a part of what we're doing here on the Let's Get Growing show. And that is our good friend Charles Malky from Ivy Organics. So let's go ahead and welcome Charles to the show here. How's it going, Charles?
Doing great. Good morning, Enoch, and Let's Get Growing team and all the gardeners out there. And it's great seeing all these hellos out there. Bowtie Life, John Jude,
yeah,
Adam Burley. Yeah. It's we're surrounded by love, and that's really what motivates us from going year to year. And it's been an awesome 5, 6, 7 years growing with you, Enoch. And
yeah, man, has it been that long?
I know the years go by quick, right?
Don't they? For sure.
The year's too fast. I can't believe we're at the end of the 2024 growing season. And I know you and I have big dreams for 2025.
Yeah.
How do we get it to the next level and make it a good experience for all?
Yeah. That's definitely, these first couple of years of the show have been, really kind of a fun kind of growing experience, just to kind of, learn a little bit more about doing this sort of thing. Also connecting more with some of the, the gardening community and everything. And of course, it's that time of year, as I was mentioning at the beginning of the show, where we're kind of, we may be doing some reflection on this last year, but we're also looking forward to 2025 for an even better growing season.
That's all we hope for.
That's right, for sure. So right on. How in fact, really, how has this year's growing season gone for you? I mean, first, with what you do in your own growing. I know you've got your own garden, your own trees, and your own things that you're doing in your space. How things work out this year?
On a personal note, I mean, it's been wonderful. I mean, as the majority of my backyard, for those of you that have been watching the Ivy Organics YouTube channel, I cannot believe we're now going into our 10th year. And for those of you that don't know, we've now got over 200,000 subscribers. We educate about 5 to 20,000 people daily on this platform. And it's been truly remarkable and enjoyable and fun and making relationships all over the world. That's just as you're doing here. And it's been very fulfilling. The majority of my backyard in the last 10 years has evolved from, and I've always enjoyed growing tomatoes annually, squash, my peppers, the basil, a lot of herbs, and just having stuff I can bring into the garden on a daily basis. But my backyard has evolved into, there's a lot of fruit trees with a lot of the people I network with, and in particular, and I was with him yesterday, is Tom Spellman, who's the leading educator at Dave Wilson Nursery, which is the leading distributor of deciduous fruit trees in the country.
Yeah.
And with him, I got an introduction to another person named Floyd Zager, who hybridizes. And I know you're in it more, you have a lot of education relating to pepper education and hybridization and varieties and so forth. But my last 5, 6, 7 years has gone into, tasting and experimenting and learning from hybridized fruit trees. In particular, one I have in our backyard that's a family favorite is something called a sweet tree pluary, which is basically a hybrid from one of the best varieties of plums and best varieties of cherries, and getting the best of those two worlds into a single fruit. And that's one of about 4 fruit trees I have in my backyard. For many of you, you guys know I grow figs and apples and bananas, and as these have grown, it's taken away from the light needed for the annual stuff, the tomatoes,
right,
squash, and so that's been the loss. But and and also time, energy, effort. It's been a lot easier maintaining my personal property. But as you know, Enoch, you and I met many years ago initially at A Million Drops, which had
Yeah.
they do a lot of the annual stuff. The fire station closest to where I live, I've been able to build a garden there, which again, we're starting with the peppers and the tomatoes and the
Yeah.
all that. In addition to the fruit trees, so there's a lot of real estate I'm involved in, and with it, I feel like it's all part of my 2024 success is making this last year truly the best.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely. And how about, again too, let's and first actually I wanted to mention, because you mentioned there too, you mentioned Tom Spellman. I will let everybody know that we did have both of you on together to talk all about trees and tree care and all of that sort of stuff earlier in the season. I'm sure Jay could go back and get us a link if anybody wants to go check that out and learn a little bit more about growing trees and everything as well too. But yeah, again, I really liked getting to visit you at your place there and to get to see some of that growing space that you have. That you got, again, like you said, it's a nice little space there. You're rolling along a hill, but all these great trees. I think one of the fun things out of that space that I got to learn many years ago was about growing and grafting. And you got these trees with multiple different grafts on them, so they have different varieties growing off on them and everything. I think that's probably one of the funnest parts of what you got growing in your garden is how you're able to do that.
Yeah. So for me, grafting as a child, I remember I've got memories from 5-6 years, spending time in the garden with mom and my mom's dad, my grandfather, who spent an average of like 6 to 8 hours a day for his last 15 to 20 years of his life in the garden, which is something it's not just me. I know a lot of gardeners that I'm with. It's something that we strive for, is to be able to spend as many hours a day, every day in the garden. But it was grafting that I learned in my middle school years that once I learned about grafting, I was hooked. Like that was what really got me intrigued with plant sciences. And, it got me to the point where I can confidently say I love plants and the value that plants bring to health and peace and mental health and physical health and so much more. And one of the pride and joys in my backyard is my 10-in-1 fig tree. So I've got one fig tree supporting black figs, green figs, brown figs, and striped figs, and all the flavors that you could ever wish for in the footprint of a single tree. So it's economical. It's, for people with limited space, which is most people, with average sized backyards. You might not want to plant 3 to 5 fig trees when you can quickly have them all in the footprint of a single tree. I don't know if we're going to take questions now or if you want to take questions later. I'm going to follow your lead.
No, is there, let me see, did I miss
one caught my eye? Someone mentioned squash bugs or squash plants and an idea.
Oh yeah, here we are. Yep.
Which I know for many years has worked well is even though there's the spray bottles you can see like to my left shoulder, but the better way to control squash bugs on plants is taking the Ivory Organic, the 3-in-1 plant guard. And this product has 7 natural oils, which include garlic, cinnamon, clove, peppermint, spearmint, rosemary. The 7 natural oils that are naturally beetle, termite, ant repellent. In addition to one of the ingredients in it also includes diatomaceous earth, which is another product, which is like glass on anything with an exoskeleton. So when you brush it on a tree, which is how most people are using it, they can also brush this on the stems of the squash plants, and that'll prevent the squash plants, those stems, from getting chewed on and shortening the life and the productivity of your squash. So this is the product, and you don't even need that much of it. A can like this should be able to protect about 100 or more squash plants, because you're only going to be painting a very short segment, and you're basically guarding it from pests entering, and anything that's already in the plant, they're going to get damaged on the way out as well, as they basically try to dig their way through the diatomaceous earth and rough up their exoskeletons, which is going to result in those pests basically drying out.
Yeah. And then so you say you can paint that on as a thicker version of it, but you can also dilute it down as well too, like you were saying, into a spray that you could spray the rest of the plant, maybe for some of those more squash bugs and eggs and or whatever they're trying to attack your plant, right?
Yeah, so even though this is a can, for those of you that are familiar with the product, and there's a lot of demonstration videos on Ivory Organics, it basically comes with the oil vial and a bag of powder. This can make about 22 to 25 of these spray bottles. So if you're looking for something dilute, which is ideal for transplant shock, and you're guarding your little pepper plants and your little tomato plants and even your citrus trees and so forth, by spraying the entire structure, you're curbing weather extremes and you're keeping it pest free to get it off to a better start. So the application on this is lighter, and then you can go as concentrated and as thick as you want, all the way to, again, a can of paint that you can brush on, to you can even go more concentrated and use it as a tree paste, grafting wounds, damaged sections on the bark that you really want to fill in better. You can even add less water and create a more concentrated, again, tree paste application. So very versatile application.
All right. Yeah. Let's see here. Just kind of on that too. Let's. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to run through our conversation here. The fun part of doing the live stream is also seeing what everybody else is doing in the conversation there too. But so again too. So it's great for, taking care of some of these pest issues as well too. What are, again, some of these real ingredients that really help with that as well that you have in there? Because this is a really an all natural, really organic product, right?
Absolutely.
This is about as organic as you can go, right?
So it's the only whitewash formula that's OMRI certified. So it's designed for commercial application, and we do have a lot of farmers across the country using our products. And again, the logic behind it, and it's on the front of the label, is for use in organic production and healthier than latex paint and tar-based products. So all of the organic orchards that are putting paint on their trees and offering that protection of curbing weather extremes using a latex paint, the issue is, as the tree grows, you're now contaminating the garden soil with latex paint that's designed to last 100 years. You've ruined that soil. And also all the runoff that's going to lead into rivers, lakes, and oceans. So latex paint, tar, both of them are also water impermeable, resulting in injury to the tree as well. So you prune branches, tree trunk, all of those applications. The fact you're trapping moisture within the plant is harmful to the plant. This product also dries on porously. And so another added value when using this in the garden compared to the traditional ways for the last 50 years here in America. The ingredients, active ingredients, again, are castor, cinnamon, clove, garlic, peppermint, rosemary, and spearmint. So these are 7 natural oils.
These are things that are really only already growing in our garden, right?
It's stuff, a lot of Italian kitchens have. And so, and when you open it, most people are like, it smells pleasant, but not to pests, not to the beetles, not to the termites, not to the aphids on your roses. And that's the value that this will do. And then these oils are then encapsulated when you add the base powders, which are limestone, clay, and these milk proteins that create a strong bond, and basically allowing these oils to offer protection for a longer period of time because they're trapped within the product, and basically offering longevity that would otherwise not occur if it was just using horticultural oils independent of the Ivory Organic space.
All right.
Yeah, cucumbers is another one that can truly benefit as well. I see that in the comments. When it comes to whitewashing, this is something Tom Spellman and I was at the Busy Gardener, Cameron Akrami's homestead yesterday, and we're whitewashing some of the trees and doing discussion and education for those guests that are across America, including yourself, where it has freezing cold winters. The number one time of the year to be whitewashing your trees in your backyard is actually right now, before the December and January coldest months of the year, is when the majority of commercial orchards whitewash, because the damage of a phenomenon known as sun scald, which is when you've got daytime temperatures that are warm, but the soil is still freezing, it basically dries out the plant. And then come spring, it might push out a few blooms, a little bit of growth, and then sometimes takes a turn for the worse because of all of those sun scald days that it's experiencing in those winter months. whitewashing it will protect the plants and basically insulate it from those weather extremes. So they're off to a better start.
Yeah, we had Bowtie says, busy gardener has a gazillion trees. You must have been there whitewashing there all week.
He does have a lot of fruit trees.
Yeah. We got to get Cameron on the show here sometime too.
Oh, you haven't done that yet, have you?
I know I've been to his place. I've been to, I'm sure since I've been there to visit him that his backyard orchard and garden space has grown even more so too. So definitely got to get him on and
he's actually got he's got a lot of wisdom. He's learned a lot of lessons. He has, just as I do, a lot of pillars within the gardening community that have influenced him over the last 10 years. And I learned yesterday that he also published an ebook that he's going to be making available soon, or it might already be out there. He's definitely a talented individual and great personality, and
exactly.
It's fun watching. It's fun watching him for those that don't know him.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to do that coming up again too for our 2025 season. Let's see here. There were a couple of questions earlier too by let's see. You had the new tree. You were talking earlier about a tree that you had. Let's see, can you graft off the new tree you have, the hybrid? Is that right? Is that what you were mentioning?
So can you graft off the new tree? I just want to make sure. So the point is, now with my hybrid fruit tree, the one I just mentioned, the Sweet Treat Pluary.
Yes.
The answer is yes. You could take a piece of that stem, and the best time for those of you that are grafting dormant fruit trees such as figs and apples, and in this situation, a plum, cherry, nectarines, and so forth. Best time to do it is actually after your last chance of frost date has passed and before those dormant trees begin waking up. For us in the Los Angeles area, that usually happens, and you can put in your zip code in a map that tells you grow zone, and then by zip code. And for me here, it's that last week of January. And even when I was at Cameron's property about an hour away from here, and Tom Spellman, where he's located here in Southern California, we all basically said that last week of January is when plants start taking a turn for the better. So in regards to grafting, it also relates to pruning. A lot of you are racing out to your backyards and starting to prune your plants now, but they're going to remain dormant and be susceptible to more winter freeze and more dieback if you're pruning now. And the logic behind it is wait till your last chance of frost date has passed, or at least you're within that week. Then do the pruning, because within a week the plant will begin healing. Why would you want to prune a plant and then wait a few months for the plant to now begin the healing process? It's ideal that you do the surgery and it immediately begins to heal. Similarly, when grafting, wait for that last week of your chance of frost date to pass. The plants will within a week or two wake up from dormancy. So ideally it's that week or two before they wake up that you do that grafting. The other thing too, I just want to caution, being that I used Sweet Treat Pluary, which is a Zager genetic licensed product, is you can't graft and sell and move these genetics that are protected. And there's plants pretty much in all categories, from figs.
Yeah, I think that goes with the previous question they were asking too. The tree you're speaking of, is it patented?
Patented, absolutely.
Yeah.
Floyd Zager, last time I was at his property, I think he's got about 700 patented fruit trees. You can imagine the time, energy, and effort that he put into creating these genetics. In meeting with him, and there's a YouTube lesson that I did where I did a whole tour, and we got to try 29 fruit trees that were not yet released to the public about 3 years ago. And the genetics that he gets, he basically plants out these seeds, 50,000 seeds from his garden. In his garden, he's got, I don't know how many acres. I think I put it in the video. I can't remember because I haven't rewatched it recently. But of all the seeds, he plants about 50,000 seeds, grows them out over the course of about 10 years, trying them out, seeing the consistent yield, a lot of documentation. And after 10 years, he'll only select 1 to 2, maybe 3 varieties out of 50,000 seedlings. So, and over the course of 10 years. So you can imagine like the initial work that it took in order to get to the point that he is now, after 40 years, a very successful, profitable enterprise being, again, Zager Genetics is the name of the property, and they have a excellent relationship with Dave Wilson Nursery, which again is the leading distributor of deciduous fruit trees in the country. So that's how Zager gets into nurseries all over the country. That's where you'll find the other popular ones are something called a nectoplum. So it's a purple leaf, like a purple leaf plum, but it gives you nectarines on the tree. So that's another hybrid fruit tree, very popular.
So it's a plum tree. It's a plum tree that gives you nectarines.
Exactly. So nectoplum.
Wow.
It was Cameron Akrami, again, the Busy Gardener, also did a lot of demonstrations on his YouTube channel showing the plant. Showing it really is a focal point type tree to integrate into a backyard orchard if you're looking to have, interesting fruit trees that you can't find, at a Home Depot or Lowe's, for example.
Right on, right on. So Grozalat, wait, asks here, why get a patented tree? Asking because I am curious.
Why get a patented tree?
Because you can get something new and different and try, in that sense, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, a patented tree, I kind of just said in the last sentence, we all know what a Burgundy plum is. We all know what, these Granny Smith apples, there's certain flavors that we're all very familiar with, but to have something that nobody else has that actually tastes better than, that's where you're going to get with the Floyd Zager Genetics, these hybrid fruit trees. They're only released because they met this threshold, and they're not popular since they just haven't been in circulation that long compared to the Granny Smith and the Washington apple and so forth. And Floyd Zager also has the apples and you name it, everything that's deciduous, persimmons and so forth. We also have a relationship for the last 3, 4, 5 years now with Dave Wilson Nursery, where again, since in the gardening world, things slowed down around this time of the year for a few months, we actually make available plants such as this. You can see the Dave Wilson Nursery logo here.
Yeah.
And this one here is a variety blueberry known as the Sunshine. Within about a week, and you can see some, not all of them, but this one in particular has blooms on it. And in yesterday's lesson, we planted.
I got to get some of those for sure. I love blueberries.
Yeah. So it was actually Tom Spellman that said if you plant 2 different variety blueberries next to each other, the cross-pollination between them will result in 4 to 5 times more productivity, even though one alone is self-fruitful. So I
find that really interesting, that's the case. I learned that earlier on when I was first starting with my blueberries and everything. It was the suggestion of getting more of them, and I guess that works with other types of trees and different things as well too, that there's just something about having 2 different varieties next to each other to help with production and the pollination, right?
It applies to just about everything. Even your seedless navel oranges benefit from cross-pollination. It improves yields, it improves size, it improves flavor. Like always having 2 related, not identical varieties. So like they're in the same, I don't want to say genus species. I just want to make sure like you can have a lime tree and a lemon tree that'll benefit each other through cross-pollination in a way better than if you just had 2 Meyer lemon trees, for example, next to each other. That's not going to create cross-pollination. It's as if you've got 2 identical trees next to one another, and it's not going to create that cross-pollination required.
Yeah, trees and plants and all that stuff in general, just so fascinating in the capabilities and the things that you can do, and kind of back in that idea of like hybridization and all of that, and these plant people who are developing these new things all the time. And I think that's just really awesome because again too, they get to really kind of nail in some of these characteristics and really make a good solid tasting new fruit or something like that. And I think it's always interesting to do things like that. We've had other plant breeders on the show. Earlier this year, I kind of reflect back on to having one of our guests, hot pepper plant creator who created the world's hottest pepper, the Pepper X now this last year and everything. And he was talking about some of those same things about how much work they put into doing this sort of stuff and how they have to really work on selection and crossing and doing all these sort of things. And, to me, I find that really, really fascinating that, that we're able to do that in the plant world.
Yep. I saw another question from someone talking
Mhm.
about grafting versus air layering. I don't know if you see
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was gonna get.
Serena that mentioned it.
Yeah,
Great
yeah.
question.
What is air layering?
I don't have my book next to me, but it is something I've discussed in my book as well, which you can find at ivorganics.com, where we go into the idea of plant propagation. And we discuss, obviously, there's seeds, but there's also cuttings, and then there's air layering, and then there's grafting, and what are the pros and cons of all of these. And I made a note of just a couple of plants here. One being, I've got a ponderosa in my backyard that's sitting in a container. The ponderosa plant, which produces some of the biggest lemons in the lemon world, and actually delicious tasting as well. So the ponderosa lemon is grafted on a dwarf rootstock, and I've had it for about 3 to 4 years, and the entire plant is only about 1.5 feet tall. But it
Oh,
gives me about 5 to 6 fruit annually, and it just sits in the pot, in a corner of my garden. If I were to air layer the genetics off that ponderosa and get that branch to root and plant it, it would now take on the characteristics of the mother ponderosa tree. So you can research, the original ponderosa on its own rootstock will probably grow 20 to 30 plus feet. It'll grow into a full grown lemon, just as if you were to plant a seed, and it would take on those genetics. By grafting, you now have the power of controlling now the size of the ponderosa. If I were to put it on dwarf rootstock versus semi-dwarf rootstock or a standard rootstock, I can now control, aside from, I know in that comment, you're talking about disease resistance, but the other big one is size of the tree. And when selecting a tree, always be mindful of what is that rootstock, because even the Zager genetic fruit trees that we just talked about, most of those are grafted on a semi-dwarf rootstock. But semi-dwarf means it can be easily controlled to about 8 feet, but unchecked and unpruned can still grow 20 to 25 feet.
right.
Compared to if it was on a standard rootstock, it'd be 30 to 40 feet. So,
Right.
so be mindful of what it's grafted on. If your goal is something small and you want 3 to 5 feet, never bigger than 8, consider dwarf. That might accomplish your goal, but it's going to be slower growing. I personally love the genetics in a semi-dwarf because it gives me the ability to manage a greater variety of fruit trees that I can grow closer to one another and enjoy, harvesting different stuff at different times of the year. And also not dealing with a monster tree that can take over my entire backyard. So semi-dwarf is like my personal favorite. Even for container life, I lean towards semi-dwarf because I can manage it and it grows more per year than if I were relying on a dwarf, which, like I said, my ponderosa only grows millimeters per year, even though a dwarf can grow sometimes 3 to 5 feet as well. Citrus.
Wow. And again, to the air layering, could you take us through the process of what air layering actually is?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I knew we were going to go here, I would come up with an example, but air layering is basically, if this were the branch, and timing wise, which is important too, I would wait. If you're in a warmer climate such as me, Southern United States, I would wait until about the last week of January to start doing this. But you're basically peeling back on the bark of the plant. Some people actually make a wedge that's about halfway through the branch. And then the best product to use is a sphagnum moss, not peat, because peat is going to crumble. But you want a sphagnum moss that basically wraps around the wound, and then you add a little bit of moisture. It's not terribly wet, but just enough moisture to keep it hydrated, and then wrap it in plastic. And within about 6 to 8 weeks, if you remove the plastic, you should see roots growing throughout the sphagnum moss. And then you basically cut. If the root is below this point, you would just cut from here and remove your now air layered branch. And again, you're going to remove the plastic and just basically take this ball and plant it. And now you've got another plant. The reason you would air layer is, for example, imagine your next door neighbor has, this is actually on my list. So I mentioned ponderosa, and the next one was apple. That's on my list. Excuse my bad handwriting. But with apples, most apples do not propagate at all by way of cutting. Like that, rarely works. Kind of like when you cut into an apple and immediately turns brown. Cuttings of apples almost immediately rot once you put them in the ground. There are always exceptions to the rule, But apples in general work best by way of grafting. And a second way of getting the genetics of an excellent apple, let's say you tried your neighbor's tree or you went to a friend's house and you're like, I want that on my property. One way to accomplish it is air layering, which we just discussed. That would be the benefit of bringing that genetics to your property.
Yeah. So if you don't have a tree to take a graft and graft it onto or anything like that, then your best bet is just get a tree started and utilize the air layering. I know my neighbor actually has a really great fig tree that they've been growing out in the front of their house and everything. And I've been like, I got to go over there and convince them to let me air layer that and maybe make a video on it or something as well too, because it's actually a really good fig.
For sure. I just want to, I don't know if this is the right time, but for those of you watching, you can go into the video description below and you'll find this, which is the promo code GROW10 for 10% off. You go to ivoryorganics.com. It's products and plants. Within a week, there's going to be dozens of Dave Wilson Nursery products, which include blackberries and blueberries and boysenberries and grapes and pomegranates and olive trees. More varieties. This is something, again, I've been working on with Tom Spellman to get just more diversity and more choices out to you. There's some stuff now, but within about the next 7 to 10 days, they'll all be there and available. This is the dormant season, the best time for moving plants around the country. They're less stressed now than they would be come March, April, and May. And it's just an excellent time for integrating the bare root variety plants into your backyard orchard. So check that out. And then you can also go to Dave Wilson Nursery and learn a lot about Zager genetics and about just all the varieties of what's available from one of the largest distributors in the country.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, definitely go check out ivoryorganics.com. And again, like Charles says there, use our promo code GROW10, GROW10, get 10% off of some of those things. I think that's really cool about what you guys got there is all the different, live trees and plants and things that you got as well available besides just your products that you have there too. I just did kind of mention and talked about the fig next door that I have, but are you guys doing your fig event this year as well?
Yeah, this will be, I think, our 8th year. We do our free fig cutting giveaway. We partner up with about 8 to 10 different growers across the country. One of our biggest contributors is the Fig Hunter, and I highly recommend you to check him out. He's basically discovered over 2,000 rare fig varieties, and he's from growing them out for about the last 10 years now has a good several dozen varieties that blow the Black Mission and the Brown Turkey and the Cadota Green out of the water. He's done taste test sample boxes to a lot of gardening influencers across the country. And I've got to experience this, and a lot of others got to experience and share just the value of what the Fig Hunter is all about. I know one of his popular varieties, something known as Jolly Rancher, and he's got another one called
Jolly Rancher. Sounds good. I loved those when I was a kid.
And he's got a Citron, so it's a fig that actually has notes of citrus in it. And then there's just a whole spectrum. There's one that tastes like cherry, another one like strawberries, and so forth. And again, color wise, sometimes the black figs have cherry, and berry flavors, and there's black figs that have more of a honey flavor. And then the same thing with the green ones that typically are known for being more of the honey notes. And then he's got the green ones that are more berry flavored. So the Fig Hunter has done a ton of research and has dedicated his family's life to bring in this knowledge. They give us about 1,000 cuttings a year from their Northern California orchard. And then we've got other people in Simi Valley that contribute, some from San Diego that donate Tiger variety figs. And on February 1st of every year, as close as possible to midnight Pacific Standard Time, we start integrating fig cuttings with everything you purchase at Ivory Organics. And it makes February one of the most popular, most successful, most busiest time of the year for us. And it really kicks off the season for all of us as you take your fig cuttings. And again, the last chance of frost date for Southern United States is usually near the end of January. So you're getting your fig cuttings in February and planting them and rooting them and integrating them into your garden and watching them grow for a full year and getting established. And it's just been a tremendous success. And that's the reason this will now be our 8th year that we
8
put in that
years.
extra time, energy, and effort to make what would be, a warm up February ends up being a very explosively busy, an enjoyable month for all.
Yeah. We'll definitely have to have you back around in a couple of months and talk about that as well too, as that gets going for 2025. And like I said, here we are. It's just a couple of weeks away, and it's a whole new year again. So, is there anything that you guys got planned there for this next year? Any big ideas or goals or anything that you have for 2025?
I'm gonna say one of the bigger ones, and I'm hoping will come to fruition in the next couple of months. And we've already started this. I don't have exactly, I can't release the name yet. Is basically creating a second website for our company that integrates all of the United States. Like the Ivory Organics mission is that we're innovative, organic, effective, and USA made products, and we're not the only one that stand behind like that integrity. And I want, and I've met and I've been working with for the last decade a lot of people that share similar passions that are in the business of manufacturing. And I'd like to bring their products, and when I demonstrate and use, going into 2025, those products, that I can have a store that can also promote it, that doesn't get tangled or confused with the Ivory Organic brand product website. So I would say that's probably going to be the biggest added value to our social platforms and all the people that we have always collaborated with and want to be a part of our growing network.
Excellent. Yeah. Again, too, really looking forward to it. We've also, I look forward to, what we got and things that we can get going here between us here and the Let's Get Growing show and Ivy Organics, and help build, like you said at the beginning there too, just a even better 2025 than what we had here in 2024. And 2024 has been really pretty awesome for us around here too. Our show really appreciates your sponsorship and everything. But looking back on this year, we've done some really, really great stuff, including having yourself, like we mentioned, with Tom Spellman for some of our new garden roundtables and all of that as well too. So again, we look forward to continuing this with you guys.
I appreciate it. And it's been fun watching you this last year also, with having truly all of the legends, all of them, like the most popular people in the country that people look up to and learn from in the gardening world. Mm-hmm. They've all been here on this platform, and what you accomplish is truly amazing and spectacular, and something that will truly be a resource for many, many years to come.
Yeah. Well, that's also, in big help part to you, and I got to extend my thanks to you as well too. I mean, right early, one of the first big guests that we really got this year in 2024 was James Prigioni. And I do a lot of emailing and working to contact all of these really great guests that we have. But that guest literally was brought to you all by our good friend Charles Malky as well too. He did most of that hard work behind the scenes to help make sure we got that too. So I want to thank you for also helping us and bringing some of those great conversations to our show, because again too, it's a big part of the whole idea of community and working and working with each other and doing things is to really help bring some of this knowledge and some of these great conversations to help teach people about things and to introduce people to other gardeners out there as well too. So again, I think that's probably one of the bigger successes of what we've had this last year here, is to be able to even last year we were only doing one show and we only did so many of them throughout that year. This year we really doubled down on everything. We added the Sunday show. We've done probably at least half as much more shows than what we did for our Saturday show as well too, and again, it's just been so really fun to be able to do this, and it's been really fun to have you along with us as well too with Ivy Organics, and not just you, Charles, too. And I also want to mention this as well to make sure is that that people know and understand that Ivy Organics is really a family company. And it's you and your family working together to make what's happening there at Ivy Organics. It was really fun to, get to hang out with you too at the Heirloom Exposition with your wife and everything. We've, and all of that as well too. I know your daughters are really involved with what you do as well too, as well as they're the name of the company, basically, right?
Correct. Correct.
So again, yeah, I just, thank you so much for all of your support and everything you do for us here on the show and the Let's Get Growing show and the Urban Gardener channel over the years. I really, really appreciate it.
Always. We'll always be here with you. Just as I know you're always with us, and just want to wish you and your audience a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Festivus, Happy New Year's, and wish you guys all the best going into this 2025 growing year, and hope all of your growing goals get accomplished. You guys all know how to get a hold of Enoch and all of the social platforms that he's available. Easy to talk to. Same thing for me. I'll just share that my favorite way to communicate is through Instagram. I usually reply to all of those messages promptly. You can also email me at info@ivory-organics. That's a second way of talking to me, even though I'm on every single platform. Those are my two favorite ones for. If you have any questions, I would love to be a part of helping you and watching you, succeed at whatever your goals are.
Yeah, definitely. And again, too, I just put it down there below. Again, it's ivorganics.com. Go there and check out some of the great plants that they've got. Like Charles mentioned, this is a great time to pick up some of those different tree and plant varieties that they have available there. And of course, the 3-in-1 plant, the 3-in-1 plant guard that you have there, the whitewash and all of that as well too. You got some fertilizers, you got some great products there at ivorganics.com. I really think everybody should get over there, check them out, use our promo code GROW10, GROW10. Yeah. See there, we got some of the organic fertilizers as well too. Anything else that you want to add before we move on here today?
I had the fertilizers in front of me and didn't even mention it, but I'll just quickly say.
I just laughed. I was just thinking about it.
Yeah, the only reason we jumped into fertilizer when this was our first product is because we noticed that almost all the education relating to fertilizers was just NPK for your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And for you growers, as well as myself, I found it frustrating to find out, how do I get all of the nutrition that plants need in a single bag? And instead of buying the cow mag and buying the sulfur and buying the so forth, if you Google this, and it's shocking that I teach this at every nursery and at every place, 99% of people, even the people working at the nursery, don't know this, is how many plant, or what's the number of plant macronutrients. And everybody's like so fixated on just 3, when the answer is 6. You can Google it. And I found like a huge disconnect in the education that's out there, that everyone's just focused on those 3, when if you truly want to grow healthy and productive and long-lasting, healthy plants, kind of like the multivitamins or the nutrition that we put in our bodies to make sure that we've got everything to optimally perform from day to day and month to month and week, year to year, is making sure that plants have all 6 plant macronutrients, which include also, in addition to your NPK, is magnesium, which is the heart of the chlorophyll molecule. Calcium is about 1/3 of the dry weight of a plant. And the third one is magnesium. So, and that's also helpful. Magnesium, we already said, is the heart of the chlorophyll molecule. Calcium for a third of the plant's dry weight. The third one of the 6 is sulfur. I don't know why that escaped me, which is important for a lot of the enzymatic processes within the plant, building the proteins. But everybody usually uses sulfur for the greening of the plant. So we usually think nitrogen, but another really important green macronutrient, which means it needs to be there in abundance, is sulfur as well. So this product has all 6 plant macronutrients. And then we've also partnered up with Azomite, which is this company which offers crushed volcanic rock. And there's a lot of growers across America that use just Azomite to get a lot of the micronutrient nutrition to plants. So you've got a product that now has all the macronutrients, a lot of the micronutrients as well. And it can be used easily with just putting a tablespoon. It says 20 gallons with this little bag, and there's a larger bag available as well. So you can put a tablespoon to a gallon of water. And this is something else that we're talking about in our education yesterday with Tom Spellman and the Busy Gardener is foliar feeding your plants in the winter, the ones that are evergreen, such as your citrus and your mangoes and your papayas and your all the things that are green in the winter. You can get them performing better by spring by doing foliar feeding now. A lot of people know that in the winter you don't really fertilize your plants. You don't want them growing and so forth, and it can result in damage. But foliar feeding is a way to correct nutritional deficiencies. So by spring bloom, your plants are perfectly healthy for maximum fruit yields, size, quality, and so forth. Something you cannot fix in the spring. It's something that needs to be corrected now in the winter.
Get ahead of the game, right?
Correct.
Yeah, right on, right on. And again, too, go check out ivorganics.com. Use promo code GROW10, GROW10, get 10% off there too on some of these great gardening products. And right on, Charles. Thank you so much again for joining us here for our end of the year, basically our last Saturday show of the year. So, and again, too, it's just been really great, having you a part of our Let's Get Growing show. And we really look forward to what we've got growing on for 2025, even bigger and better, right?
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much, Enoch, and wishing you all the best.
Excellent. Happy holidays to you and your family. And we'll see you soon for sure.
Awesome. Thank you. Take care.
All right. Moving right along today for our show today. Again, just a really fun conversation there with Charles. Just to really appreciate him and his company for supporting us and sponsoring us throughout our I guess, well, I mean, both years he's been with us since we got started. So, it's just, just really great to have them and just a really great family company to be involved with what we're doing here on the Let's Get Growing show. And like I said, to look forward to all sorts of things in 2025 with Charles and Ivy Organics. And again, be sure, like I said, to go and check out ivorganics.com and go check out some of those. If you don't, have any of the 3-in-1 Plant Guard, like I said, I really recommend that for most all gardeners in your gardens. And if not, we talked about some of those really cool plant and tree varieties and everything too. Go over there and check out some of those things because, like you said, it's the right time of year to be able to get those shipped out to you and try maybe something new in your garden or orchard this next year too. So yeah, lots and lots of great things going on. And right on. So yeah, we're just moving right along here today. And like I said, we had Sarah on just a little bit ago to give you all a really fun garden trivia there too. So let's bring Sarah back on here for the All right, Sarah, how's it going?
Going pretty well. That was fascinating listening to him talk. Like, now I want to go air layer a bunch of plants.
I know for sure. I know. I've been thinking about it for a while too. Like I was saying, I got that neighbor who's got this just really cool fig tree, and figs have really become one of my favorite fruits and all of that over the last few years. I've got a couple of different varieties of my own that I've tried that I've gotten from from Ivy Organics. You mentioned the Fig Hunter. I've gotten a couple of varieties there, but this one's my neighbor's, and it grows really well. It's big and huge. They're really delicious. So why not try to get a piece of that and put it into my garden, right?
That would be really cool.
Yeah. I've been fascinated with that whole idea of air layering and just being able to, basically it's like, taking a clone or not really a clone of a tree, and it's just basically the tree itself, and you're just kind of separating it and starting a whole nother one,
Yeah.
So it's a really cool idea. And I'm really fascinated. I'm going to have to do that and maybe make a video and share that with everybody.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah. Right on. So a little bit earlier here, we were, you gave us a garden trivia question. Let's go over the question again real quick here.
All right. The question was, which of the following evergreen varieties is most commonly used in the Christmas tree industry? A, Douglas fir, B, white pine, C, blue spruce, D, Scotch pine.
Scotch pine. Y'all got your guesses out there in the comments there. What you think the answer is to the trivia question this week? Let's see here. I'm gonna give it. I know there's some people who probably join with us just a little bit later here, so let's give them a moment here. We'll let everybody jump in, give your idea what you think the answer to the question is there, and then let's see here. We'll give the answer here in just a moment. Right on, right on. So, you got anything yourself planned or thinking about for 2025, this next year? Anything, any goals or ideas of what you want to do, whether it's your garden or anything else this year?
I'm tossing around some ideas. I'll have a garden again. I garden every year.
Yeah.
So I haven't really started planning that yet, but I've been thinking about the seed shop and how to grow the business a little bit, and
Yeah.
just tossing around some different ideas. I'm thinking about possibly rebranding at some point. It's not going to
Okay.
happen immediately,
Right.
but just rebranding, just to kind of do some more things other than just seeds.
Yeah.
I love to write, and I'm hoping to start building a career with my writing as well as with selling seeds. And so I'm thinking about, like, how can I combine the two?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
nothing is set in stone yet. I've just been,
Yeah.
tossing
Yeah.
around ideas, and it's been fun to think about because, I mean, the possibilities really are endless. So just been thinking about what I might like to do with
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, that sounds like fun. And again, too, you're a great writer, and you should probably do, combine those things that you're really passionate about, right? You really love
exactly.
gardening. In fact, gardening's really in your genes, isn't it?
Yes. My mom has been gardening since long before I was born. So
Yeah. And
he's a great gardener too. And my dad has done some gardening as well. And so yeah,
yeah.
we love to grow stuff.
Yeah. A little backstory on why and how I know and why Sarah's on our show is for the trivia and everything is that I got this whole thing, and it was kind of something else to hear from Charles too as we were talking there. He's like, yeah, because I met him really early on as I got started on this, my very first year of doing my channel and everything. We're talking 7-8 years ago, and when I first got my channel started, one of my very first subscribers and followers who's still with us today was your mom. Your mom's been such a big, huge supporter of the Urban Gardener channel and everything all these years and everything too. So, it's really great to be able to kind of, continue that connection by having you as well too as a part of our show too.
Yeah, I really enjoy being a part of it. And yeah, I mean, she's been watching your shows from the beginning and talking about them, and just she's enjoyed watching you grow over time. And so I know it's been great for her, and she loves that I'm a part of it too. That I'm
Yeah.
doing the trivia videos, and so yeah, it's really cool.
That's really great. I love it, man. It's just really awesome. And again, too, as I extend to everybody else out there too, I just really, we really appreciate all of your support, just as I have appreciated Sarah's mom, Nancy's support throughout all of these years. It's all of you who make doing all of this, so much fun and worth it, to spend the time it takes to put all this stuff together, is because, this gardening community is just a really amazing community. And, if there's anything I can do to help bring people together, then that's what we want to do here on the Let's Get Growing show. And you and Sarah Seed Shop is a great example of how we extend that out there.
I'm really glad to be a part of it.
All right. I know we giving everybody time to jump in there and give your answers to what you think of the garden trivia question is. Let's see here again, too. It's which of the following evergreen varieties is most commonly used in the Christmas tree industry? Is it Douglas fir, white pine, blue spruce, or Scotch pine? Which one is it? What's the answer, Sarah?
The answer is A, Douglas fir.
Douglas fir.
Obviously, there are a lot of different evergreens, and a lot of them are used for Christmas trees, but Douglas fir is one of the most popular out there. Um, it's it's really common because it forms that nice pyramid shape really well, and
Yeah.
has a nice full, you know, a nice full structure. So it's one of the preferred varieties for Christmas trees.
Yeah. Really great. Nothing like a nice big full tree, and again, those Douglas firs are really good for that. Yeah, and maybe some of you out there probably got some Douglas firs sitting in your living room right now with a whole bunch of lights and everything in them, and
Yep.
ornaments and all of that too. So yeah, right on. Excellent. What an appropriate question for this time of year. Right on, Sarah. Well, again, I want to thank you so much. Again, we're looking back on this 2024 year here on the Let's Get Growing show, and it's just been really awesome to have you here each and every week with our trivia questions and all of that too. And we really do look forward to having you back on again throughout this next 2025 year, and watch you grow even more there at Sarah's Seed Shop.
All right, looking forward to it.
Right on, everybody. Excellent. Thank you so much again, Sarah. And we'll have you back again here soon as we get the 2025 growing season going.
All right. Have a good day.
Excellent. You too. Right on, everybody. I hope you are all having a great day today too here. I know we're kind of little bit of a different kind of show right here, as we're just kind of hanging out with some of our contributors throughout the growing season here on Let's Get Growing. It's just been an amazing, awesome year. We kind of touched on it just a little bit earlier as we were talking with Charles there too, about, what we've been able to do and accomplish with the show here this last year. And last year and I've kind of talked about this before a little bit, we got the whole idea started. Everything worked out really well throughout, the first part of last year. Then some things kind of changed and happened, and we kind of had to make some adjustments throughout this about the middle of the growing season last year for our show. And so, and we kept going, man, and we had some really great guests, and just it kept this moving on. But there was a lot of challenges and things that were going on, and I've kind of explained this to people kind of about who I am and what I'm about personally. Sometimes is that I'm one of those personality types that when you're facing challenges or things seem to be getting harder or difficult, my sense is to usually double down. You know what I mean? To kind of, go at it even harder and see what we can do and accomplish, in the face of that type of adversity that we're seeing. So instead of like giving up on the idea of this whole idea of Let's Get Growing last year, as we were facing some of that, my idea was, well, you know what? Next year, let's do this. Let's do even more next year. And not only do even more, let's have a second show. And that's when we decided to add the Sunday edition to our show as well too, not just the Saturday show but the Sunday show, because even though we were having some of those issues and some of those things were coming up throughout the season last year, we were still having a bunch of successes as well. And one of the biggest successes was having all of these great guests who were spending their time and joining with us to have these great gardening conversations each week. And we ended up having a bunch of really awesome people join the show last year. And I was wondering, well, what am I going to do if I want to continue the show next year? And I want to have all of these other newer people join on with the show as well too. How are we going to be able to bring back some of these people that we've got to have conversations with? So that's one of the reasons why we added the Sunday edition of the show, was so that we would have another show where we can start bringing on some people that we've had back on the show and kind of make that just a little bit more of a variety. And if for some of those of you who follow us for our Sunday edition as well too, you'll know that that's just a little bit Saturday is just a little bit more format. We do our Are You Following Me segment with all of our smaller YouTube channels, Instagram gardeners, and other creators as well too for Are You Following Me segment. And then we have our big conversation with our featured guest. And then on the Sunday edition of the show, we thought, well, let's do some things just a little bit differently. Gardner Scott Wilson from the Gardner Scott channel was one of, to me was one of my big guests of last year, and was like, well, how do we find a way to bring him back and have him back on more often? And so I reached out to him this last year, and he agreed to come on with us each and every second Sunday of the month, although we did miss this last month or so. But he's been with us throughout the year this year, joining with us on that Sunday edition of the show, to answer all of your gardening questions, and really, in a sense too, I wanted that sort of thing as well too, because I get a lot of general gardening questions, even throughout the show as well too. And I don't really consider myself, an expert gardener. So there's a lot of questions out there that I get asked that, sometimes that I don't really have the best answer for. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to make sure we had Scott Wilson from the Gardner Scott channel on with us, so that we would have an opportunity here on the show to be able to dig into all of those questions that I might not have the best answer for, but Scott knows and has such great knowledge about all of that sort of stuff. So we've been really fortunate to do that. Also, we added on our monthly gardening book club for our third Sunday of the month. This has been actually probably one of the more fun things that we've done, in addition to what we were doing last year on the show, was adding that book club to our Sunday edition. And it also gave me a chance to do just a little bit more with one of my good friends that I met, again, too, like I met Charles in the first year of doing this channel. I also met our good friend, Mark Roche Colbert, and he does our In the Garden segment. He was doing those for us last year on the Saturday show. We moved it to the Sunday show, and then we actually we have him coming on with us live on the third Sunday of the month to do our monthly gardening book club. And so that's been really fun. We've had lots of really great books that we've gotten to review this last year. And it's just been really great. So I will also mention too, here as we're talking about that, tomorrow's show is the third Sunday of the month for December, and that does mean that we will be having a monthly gardening book club. And this month we've been featuring Diane Meisler's Grow Your Soil. This is just a really great book. I've been really, really enjoying this book. I can't wait for tomorrow so that we can get together with our good friend Mark live here on the show and talk with Diane Meisler about this really great book. Because, again, too, it's all about having these really great gardening conversations that we're able to have here on the Let's Get Growing show. And that's one of the things that makes this gardening book club so much different than maybe one of your book clubs that you have out there locally, is that we get together here on our show and discuss this book and have the author with us live here on the show, so that we can talk to them and ask them questions and really dig deep into these really great books that they've written. So that's been one of the other really great additions to what we've been doing here on the Let's Get Growing show, as well as one of the other things that I thought of doing, and that was kind of sparked by a couple of my other friends that I got to do live streams with very early on, as I was first dipping into doing live streams on our channel. And that's my good friends Christopher Bransdahl from MTN Gardening up there in Norway, and our friend King Star from the King Star channel on YouTube as well too. We used to do actually a first day of spring, kind of a spring celebration live stream, where we got together and we would talk all about growing and gardening and looking forward to our gardening season. So when we set up the Sunday edition, I wanted to make sure that we could have a spot have them on regularly, and that kind of sparked the idea of, well, let's do that kind of a little bit more, because that gives us another opportunity to bring back guests that we've already had on the show and have a fun, what we call a gardening roundtable. Now, it took us a little while to kind of get in the stride with doing some of that this year, but we finally really kind of hit that stride as we were moving towards mid-year this year. And we've had lots of really great conversations with guests that we've had on the show previously as well for our Sunday edition. Also, too, one of the other things that we've been doing, and I want to do more of this next year, are kind of themed weekends. I touched on it just a little bit earlier with Charles when I was talking to him, that we had our hot pepper weekend. That was my first idea, was to have a weekend where we were talking about growing peppers, and we had our friend Johnny Scoville from Chase the Heat on the show, and then we had Ed Curry, Smokin' Ed Curry, who is the creator of the Pepper X, and which is the world's hottest pepper that broke that record this last year, as he introduced this new one, which he, broke his own record that he set with the Carolina Reaper. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with that one there as being the hottest pepper over the last several years. And so that was really kind of fun. And then we did another one too, where we're talking about trees and different things as well too. Giants. We tried to have a giant weekend. That one didn't work out too as well as I wished and hoped it would, but again, too, lots of a part of what it means to do some of this live streaming is to run into some sort of issues and things that were happening, because I did intend on having the world record holder for the biggest giant pumpkin on the show. Travis Ganger, who grew his big giant pumpkin. He called it Michael Jordan. I think it was like 2,740 some pounds. And that was going to have a real fun conversation. We did end up having some really great conversations, like with Cindy Toback, who's been on the show before as well too, and Jason Covey joined with us on the Sunday show as well to talk all about growing giants. This next year we'll try to do it again, and we'll get Travis on for sure this next year, and we'll talk about those things as well as some other themed ideas. And so these are some of the ideas and things that I've put forward too, and I've talked about this before and mentioned it actually when we were talking about the replay watchers. If you are here watching with us, you can always get into the comment section and let me know if you have any ideas like that. What do you think would be a fun themed weekend for the Let's Get Growing show when it comes to gardening and growing and all of that too? I'd love to hear some of your suggestions. I'd love to hear some suggestions on gardeners out there, in the gardening community that you would like to see on the show as well too. Maybe we can reach out and get some of those guests on the show as well too, because we'd really like to get people on that you'd like to see and have some of those conversations and learn a little bit more from some of those folks that you follow as well too here on the Let's Get Growing show. So that would be really fun as well too. So, again, too, lots and lots growing on. It's just been an amazing, successful year. Like I said, we really doubled down on what we're doing here on the show for this year, and we're going to really go at it hard again for 2025, and really look forward to having an amazing year in 2025 as well, too. So again, too, and I can't say this enough as well, too. All of this and all of this and this show really isn't possible ultimately without viewers like yourself. This is one of the biggest things and the biggest, goals of this show when I first got it launched and everything, was to be able to bring fun gardening conversations with the people that all of you are already following out there in the gardening community, and also introduce you to maybe people you haven't been following or didn't know in the gardening community as well too. So, so it's really been great to bring those conversations to you, but it's also just been really awesome to see this show each and every week, us growing just a bit more each and every week, with more and more viewers who are coming in and following us each and every week. And it's just, to me, it just, it's such a great feeling when you get to sit down right here and set all this up in my living room and everything. So I get to sit here and hang out in my living room with all all of you amazing people every single week here on the Let's Get Growing show. So it's, just really been my pleasure, to be here and to kind of set up this conversation for everybody as well too. So right on, right on. So yeah, I'd love to hear from all of you as well too. Jersey Girl says, I love the book club. The book club is so awesome. I can't wait to talk to Diane. I can't wait to get into some of the more books as we get growing into this next year as well too. Right on, right on. Bote Life says, definitely Gardner Scott. Yes. John Jude is Gardner Scott is in my top 5. Awesome. Yeah, he's in my top 5 as well too. So that's just really it's really awesome to have him on with us as well too. Let's see. Oh, and Serena was asking, no, we have our book club tomorrow. Gardner Scott was on last Sunday's show as well too. So yeah, right on. Let's see. John Jude says Serranos are not the hottest, but my favorite. Oh yeah. Serranos are really good. I have to kind of agree with you, John. If I'm, if it's a really hot pepper, or if I'm looking for some heat in just a regular pepper, I don't like really, really hot peppers. The hottest I think I've really ever gone, at least more than once. I did have like gosh, what was it? It's not coming to me right now, but I had a really like hot, like ghost or scorpion pepper or something several years ago. And it just a little taste of it too. And it was just way, way too much for me. But the hottest I usually ever go, if I'm looking for something just a little more extreme, are probably habaneros. I really do enjoy, and probably one of my favorite like hot peppers would be the Sugar Rush Peach. I know that's a lot of people out there, a lot of pepper growers really love the Sugar Rush Peach. That's one of my favorites. I love that, but Serranos I think are probably more of my regular go-tos for a hot pepper. So I agree with you there, John, for sure. Let's see here. Oh, Bowtie says, yeah, always something to learn from anyone willing to share. Yep, that's for sure, definitely. And that's one of the things that's really great about, probably one of the greatest accomplishments of this show is to get all of these just really amazing growers and gardeners who, are already out there sharing, with their channels and all of that, and to get them to spend their time with us here on the weekend and to be able to share with us all of their gardening knowledge here on the Let's Get Growing show. So for sure. Let's see here. Oh, let's see here. Val is like here. Right on. Thank you, Val, for joining with us here. And oh yeah, sorry there. And yep. Saying to Jay too, right there. Yes, Jay is a treasure. Thanks, and thanks for all you do for Let's Get Growing and Garden Like a Viking channels too. Yeah, Jay is just an amazing part of what we're doing here on our show. And here in just a minute, when she jumps into the studio here, we'll get Jay on the show here, and we'll talk with her for just a minute here too, as we're getting ready to wind down our show for 2024. Right on. Let's see here. Make sure we're getting in there here. Right on. Oh, and Jersey Girl says here too, is like, you can't taste what the pepper actually tastes like if they're too hot. It's for sure. I'm telling you. And when they're too hot like that, you get into some of those super hots and everything. I don't even think your brain has the ability to taste anything at that point, because it just shuts everything down as far as that goes. You just go into survival mode, I think, when you get into eating some of those hot peppers like that. Right on. And then yes, right on. Big Will Dog in the soil. Yes. Hearts and hearts for Jay Dixon, definitely. And Jay says, got any questions for Jay? Get them ready. She'll be here in just a moment. Right on. Serena asks, are you planning to grow Pepper X when seeds are available? Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully, my fingers crossed, having talked with Ed, when he does make those seeds available, hopefully I'll be one of the first people to be able to get some of them, to, get them growing in the garden. Now, I do love growing varieties and lots of different varieties of the lots of different varieties of peppers. Yeah, it's great to be able to grow them. I mean, I love all the sorts of different pepper plants, mainly because of I fell in love with growing peppers early on because of the variety, not just the variety of peppers and the pepper pods, the heat levels and all that sort of stuff, but the plants themselves too, really are fun. They all have their own kind of personalities, when you're accounting for heat and the plants themselves. We touched on, I was on the Garden Party podcast this last Wednesday as well too, and we were talking a little bit about that, about peppers and that sort of thing. And they have the unique characteristics based on each of the different varieties that we have, that they have out there. And so I just it goes with most things out there. I've talked about growing eggplants. I don't really eat eggplants, you know what I mean, that much. I'll try some things when it comes to eggplants because I give them away to friends. They'll make some things. I'll give it a try and all of that. It's not one of my favorites, but I love the plants. I grow them in my gardens to be able to try out and see the different varieties growing. And that's the same thing with peppers. I like growing all these different pepper varieties as well too, based on that. But the hot peppers, if I did get a Pepper X seeds, I would love to grow them. I love to test out and see what the particular characteristics of the plant are, how they grow. Are they a slow grower? That sort of thing. Are they fast? Are they really productive? Those sort of things. I love being able to see when it comes to growing these different plants. But when it comes to eating them, I don't think that I'm up for that challenge. Maybe I'll grow some and maybe we'll get some out to someone else who might want to try one and eat one for us here on the show. In fact, before we got started with the show, I was growing a certain variety. It was called Primatali. And I was growing this variety for a competition that I was in, a gardening competition I was in. And I wasn't about to try and eat those peppers, but I did have a friend of mine who was up for the challenge. And so he came on and we had a live stream that I did here on the Urban Gardener channel. And he ate one of those Primatalis for us live on the show. So maybe we would do something like that with the Pepper X. I will tell you one thing though about that show in particular. I really felt sorry for my friend. He didn't mind. He loved it in the long run. He thought it was really great, but at the same time, he said it was definitely painful. But it was very interesting. I'd never seen anybody tear up in that sort of way where, I mean, tears literally basically shot out of his eyes. That's how much, how hot those things were and how much they just really hit you. You know what I mean? Like I said, I don't even think you could taste them, or even, I don't think taste or smell or any of your other senses work after that point when it comes to eating those sort of things. Right on. Let's see here. Rob says, may I take this opportunity to say thank you to me, Jay, and Adam. May everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Absolutely, Rob. Thank you so much for joining with us here each and every weekend as well, too. Thanks for saying that. Really, really appreciate that. So right on, everybody. We're moving along today. Let me see here what we got. I want to make sure I got this all set right here. Let's go ahead and just real quick, I'm going to bump into just a real quick short break here, and we'll be right back with our facilitator, Jay Dixon. All right, all right. Yeah, yeah. One of the great things about our show too is that we have this really amazing facilitator who's here with us each and every weekend to put in all sorts of great links and help move the chat along and all of that sort of stuff. We call her our facilitator. We call her the J-Bot. Let's welcome to the show our good friend Jay Dixon to the show. Oh, uh-oh. We're not. Oh my gosh. I don't think I've ever had this happen before. We are not technological issues. I think maybe Jay might have to reconnect with the studio, I think, here. Let me try one more time. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. I've never had that happen before. So if Jay can, maybe we'll get her on here in a minute. She might have to get out of the studio and kind of reconnect again or something like that as well too. All right, all right. Well, we'll just kind of vamp along here just a little bit here while we kind of see if we can't get that figured out. Let me see. Dun, 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 dun. Oh no, let's see. Let me try this. Let's try that and see maybe if that'll give her an opportunity. Again, these are parts and fun of having a live show. You never know what to expect when it comes down to it. Let's see if Jay can reconnect with us here as well too. Big Will Dog's like, J-Bot does not compute. Yeah, something there in the connection maybe is going on there as well too. So hopefully she'll be able to connect here in just a minute. And yeah, oh yeah, look at that. John Jude's got a great idea. How about hit the like button there for anybody else out there who hasn't already done so? Let me see here. Okay. Well, hopefully if Jay's listening out there too, you might just have to reconnect with us there. Jersey Girl says Enoch broke J-Bot. I might have. I don't know. Yikes. Oh my. All good plans, right? All good plans. Let's see here. Oh, Jay's in the chat real quick. They're saying system froze, reloaded. Okay, reloading in. So let's see here. We'll give a minute or so, see if she can reload in there too. And awesome. Big Will Dog also says Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all as well. Right on, right on. Yes, indeed. Happy holidays to all of you as well. Merry Christmas. Rob says as well, love my Saturday nights with you all. Absolutely. It's great to have you here too. And sometime, Rob, we got to get you on the show. I'm sure everybody would like to meet you as well too. You do some really great stuff when it comes to garden videos and your channel as well too. So it'd be great to have you on someday as well too, so everybody can meet you too. Right on. Let's see here. Excellent. And let's see here. Oh yeah, okay. It seems Jay here is restarting the computer. So we're gonna have to wait a minute or so it takes for, what it's like to restart your computer. Kind of takes a minute or two for all that stuff to get going and working. And Rick from Australia says happy holidays, everyone. Awesome again too. Thanks, Rick. It's great. I hope you're all having a happy holidays and a Merry Christmas all down there in or down under there in Australia. Right on. Excellent, excellent. So yeah, again too, as I was kind of touching on already, we've had a great year this year. We've had such amazing guests, speaking of Australia, having Mark Valencia from Self Sufficient Me. What a dream come true that was to get him on initially. And then a few weeks back, we had him back on again because he had so much fun being on the show before. We got to have him back again with our good friend Nate Muri from Garden Like a Viking to have a cool gardening roundtable. So, lots and lots of stuff like that as well, too, that we've got in store for this next year as well, too. Oh, looks like LP's there, too. Happy holidays, everyone. John Jude says, Jay is worth the wait. Yeah, that's right. That's for sure. Right on, right on. Well, all right, all right. I see Jay in there now. Let's see if we can't get her on and see if everything's working all right. Well, all right, all right. I see Jay in there. There we go. There we go. Jay, how are you doing?
Are you able to hear me?
I can hear you now.
Fabulous.
That was so weird. I've never had that before. And I guess I couldn't tell that it had frozen because you're down in, I can see you down in there. So I went to go put you on and then it doesn't show anything. That was another first for us here on the Let's Get Growing show.
It was really cold here last night. That's why.
Yeah, really cold.
Yes. Froze the computer.
Yeah, you're frozen, completely frozen up there in Canada, right?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Right on. Well, thanks for jumping on with us here today. We had Sarah on earlier who does our garden trivia for us. It was great to have her here live for our last Saturday show of the year. And then Charles, our sponsor, to get to have a great conversation with him as well too. And I thought, well, if we're going to be having conversations with those who contribute to our show, we must have our facilitator, Jay Dixon, as well, too, for a nice little conversation here as we're ending the 2024 year because of all the great and wonderful things you do for us.
Thank you very much. But I do like to be referred to as the J-Bot occasionally.
Okay. There you go. Right. That's right. That's right. I should have put it on your label down there for sure.
I thought about that when I was signing up for this section.
Yeah.
I've actually had a couple people on other channels, I think Gardener Scott's, who didn't really know me or my background, were suspicious of how quickly I was coming up with answers and how accurate they were. So they were seriously asking if I was like, AI.
I know.
And Dave from Bowtie Life happened to be around and he goes, well, yes, it is suspicious, except that she's a real person. We've actually seen her being interviewed and stuff. So
that's right.
I don't know how to be tricky to be a computer simulation. I just don't have that ability, that mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that definitely, goes to say a lot about, what you do and what you contribute here too, as well. It's just, I think it's just been one of the things that just really adds so much to what we're doing here on the show is your ability to go and find those links real quick. I mentioned a show that I might have done in the past, and then boom, 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 there it is. There's a link for everybody to go check out. We got our guests on the show. Boom, there's a link. We're talking about a certain subject, you know what I mean? Boom, there's a link for more information right there. And we got another thing too, all of you out there who are in the conversation and in the chat as well too. A lot of you have channels out there, and if you got channels out there, we love sharing that. That's a big part of what we're doing here, as we're growing community through gardening. So you mentioned that, hey, I got a channel, as well about gardening, and boom, there's Jay right there putting out a link for everybody else so they can go and check out what you've got growing on as well too. So again too, and I say for everybody else as well too, we really appreciate all that you do when it comes to that.
Yeah, thank you for that. I've actually had a number of people in some other gardening educator channels that I help facilitate the lives. I've had specific channel owners that ascribe a certain amount of their growth. Hard to tell exactly how much, to the fact that I keep shouting them out and And just that simple mention, people tend to link up to that, and a certain number do subscribe or follow or start to watch the shows. And I am very pleased to be part of that. That's one of the reasons I kind of coined this phrase that I think doesn't actually technically exist in YouTube, to be a facilitator, because part of my mindset is to try and facilitate the feeling of community for the people who come to the channel, so that they feel welcomed, appreciated, noticed if they're not there for a while, that kind of thing, shouting out their channels if they have one, trying to answer their garden questions as best we can. And then besides that, we're trying to make that when they come to the channel, it's a fuller, better experience, so that they can learn more about the different types of media that the guests use, so that you can have a more in-depth experience with them when the interview is happening, so that if you I'm sort of trying to answer questions before they're even asked, in a way. So if you guys are bringing up a certain type of vegetable or a certain gardening technique, I'm trying to provide at least one good link to that, so that you have the possibility as a listener to become further educated and informed, if you choose so, that it's available for you. And then, of course, trying to provide a way that the guests who come get more of a link back to their channels, their experiences, some of their other media sources, so that they're feeling more of a connection and a reason to take their time and their expertise and bring it here for us. So facilitating kind of worked for me.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's it's a step or several above being a just moderator for the show as well too. Channels got to have moderators and stuff, but what you do is this other level of something. You're really bringing such an amazing added value to our conversations that we're having here right on the show.
Well, it's sort of a couple of things, I guess. Is when I was first invited to be a moderator, I'm not naturally a good, what you might call, mall cop.
Right.
It's not really my comfort zone. I'll do it if it helps facilitate the experience so that it's better for people. But I'm not really that personality. But what I am is very interested in gardening education. And I've got this weird, I don't know what you might call it, itch inside my head, that when I see an opportunity for more education or more knowledge to come, I feel like I need to grab it and make it available to people. And so I started kind of doing this facilitating thing kind of without permission already before I actually became formal at doing it. And sometimes I sort of step back and say, oh, is it okay that I'm answering these questions? Is it okay if I'm providing these links? And it's pretty much always been yes. But in some cases, I chose to sort of formalize it with certain channels. I actually love doing it so much. I wish I had more energy and more time to do even more of it there. But I've got limitations, even though I'm the J-Bot. I do have limitations about what
you are human after all.
Well, it's debatable, but yes. So, does anybody in the audience have any questions for me? Or
definitely. If you got any,
you'd like me to do things in the chat area, I am open to reasonable suggestions.
Yeah, definitely. If you got any questions, this is a great time to ask Jay personally right here on the show. But you mentioned there too how you started doing this sort of without permission, and I love that you mentioned it in that way. I do remember when we first got started doing the show, and I think maybe you probably noticed or figured out our show through Gardner Scott, I believe, right?
Yes.
And so then it was early on in the show, in those first several shows that we were doing, you were just jumping on, and you were doing this sort of stuff that you do for us and all of that. And I remember one of the people I was working with at the time was like, "Hey, have you noticed this Jay Dixon that's in the chat? I mean, they're just dropping in all these links and doing all this sort of stuff, when it comes to the conversation and everything. I mean that's really cool." And they were the ones who kind of suggested to me, was like, maybe you should kind of make it official. And I was like, yeah, and that's what I really need to do. So I remember that when I reached out, I was like, hey, what do you think about making this official? Making you an official moderator, facilitator of what we're doing here on the show. But again, too, and it's been such a wonderful journey now, really, as we've gone through the 2023 season, now the 2024 season, to have been able to go through this all with you as well. So, I almost consider you kind of a partner on the show as well, so it's been really awesome, to see, where we've gone from there to where we are today.
Well, this is very obviously your channel. However, I really like that now you've got a small little band of people who try in their own way as they are able to support you. And now you've got a number of people willing to do regular segments. You've got people who are willing to do, different things like the trivia things.
Yeah.
Those things are people who are not co-channel owners with you, but believe so much in what you're trying to do here that we all want to be supporters and help you through this process. And we'd love to see this channel grow in all kinds of ways. And we're willing to put a little bit of time and energy and expertise behind it. When I do this facilitating thing that I do, it's really hard to explain, but it's almost like an itch that I need to scratch. As soon as I see an opportunity to have further learning or further knowledge come about, I've got to find it and make it available to people. It's just really hard to explain, but that's just how the JBot works.
That's right. That's right. Let's see here. Dusty Flats dropped in with a question. What latitude do you live at near Lake Huron?
Gee, that's a good question. I would actually have to look that up because I don't know.
That is a good question.
I can tell you I'm here. Okay, so I'm at 43 north and 81 west, roughly.
Roughly 43 north, 81 west.
Yes.
Right on.
I am really close to Lake Huron. I'm not technically on it. I'm inland by maybe 8 kilometers or so. But one of the reasons why you see I always do a little sign on that tends to be typically very much the same. And one of the things I say is in the lee of Lake Huron, because I've lived most of my life just wind side of Lake Huron. And it means that we are extremely affected by Lake Huron, which is one of the biggest lakes in the world. And it also affects us regarding weather, but also gardening, about what happens about that lake effect and what it does to us. And it's one of the reasons I kind of put it in my tagline, is because it's an extremely effective geological feature that is quite close to us. And then I put the thing in about the commentary about our history and how this land was actually originally founded by Native people. And I feel that that's kind of overlooked. So I put it in there each time because I feel that that's an appropriate mention or tribute. And the people who are, maybe not interested can just overlook that.
Right. Exactly. All right. Got another question here. I think I can answer this question for you, but I'll ask you for confirmation. Will Dog says, who's your favorite viewer, JBot? And of course, that answers everyone, right?
Well, in fact, I'm pretty sure the first time, I think he might have asked that earlier before I kind of had my little computery problem here.
Right.
And I think he put the word me in there. So I guess what my answer is me.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
It's really everyone.
Oh, how funny there. That's awesome.
I really like how I'm starting to learn over time the different quirks and personality types of the different people that I'm getting to know through other channels that I also facilitate and through this channel. And I feel like I like that we're both serious about gardening, but kind of being playful with each other and almost childlike. And I really, that's definitely up my alley about how I think about things. I'm sort of a serious adult, but very childlike. Yeah.
Will says, how political of an answer. That's right.
Well, I really truly do like different people in different ways, about how some people have different types of mindsets and different ways that they do things. I guess I'm a sort of a smorgasbord kind of person, and I love that there's a variety of people and places and opinions and thoughts out there, and some of them suit me really well at some times and some at others, and sometimes I just go not so much this time. And it's all a beauty of people and opinions laid out in front of me, and how wonderful that I get a chance to connect up with so many people in this community.
Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, and Dusty was saying about that straight across the pond from you then.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dusty also says it takes longer to warm up in spring, but warmer going into winter near the Great Lakes.
I seem to recall him mentioning something about Ohio, and I vaguely had mentioned a few times in my answers that we were probably geographically very similar about the lake effect and what happens to us, and temperatures and winter and the length of the season and frost dates and stuff. I sort of remember some mentions when I was trying to answer specific gardening questions about suggesting that our experiences were very similar.
Yeah. And Janet jumping in here too. Welcome, Janet. Thanks for getting into the conversation there. And says to Jay, your welcoming and supportive presence made the difference that I've stayed a member at Gardner Scott and always keep watching whenever you show up.
Wow.
Yes.
Great. Thanks.
See? Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And see, a real important part of our growing gardening community here. So that's really awesome. So, kind of touched on there too with Dusty. How are, what's really the weather like there? How's your garden doing? You're really starting to hit winter. I know it's just a couple of days away still, but
yeah. One of the things about this time of year, because of the lake effect and where we are, is it's extremely changeable. So what you asked me if you asked me this question 10 days ago versus 7 days ago versus today, all different answers. So it's not that I'm trying to be political, although someone mentioned that. I'm trying to be accurate, that we actually are quite different. So for example, 10 days ago, we were probably on average for at least 7 to 10 days. We were approximately 8 degrees Celsius. Can't quite convert that into Fahrenheit right this moment, above average. And we stayed that way for a minimum of 7 to 10 days. So practically walking around in t-shirts and shorts, nothing near freezing, which is unusual for this time of year. Then about a week ago, we got hit with one of those lake effect storms, which is common for our area, and we got literally dumped with snow. And I'll speak Imperial, because most of you are US based, is we got approximately, depending on where the drifts and stuff landed, 3 to 4 feet of wet, heavy snow. I was digging so hard for a week that I wasn't even a human being. And at first I was doing it to be nice. I do a lot of public snow clearing to just kind of make things nicer in my community. So the village paths, the entrances to the buildings and stuff, just to facilitate people being able to get around and enjoy the space and be able to get communal and go to events. But I dug so long and so hard for so many days that I literally wasn't even hardly a functioning human. And of course, because I'm a strange little J-bot, I went out in costumes because Because people
That's
needed
right.
a laugh because
That's right.
everybody else was digging their own personal spaces when I was digging out public spaces. So I was a hot dog. I was a banana. I was the Grinch. I was a panda. I was a seagull.
Yeah.
I was a chicken. And
Yeah.
I just kept changing out these different outfits because, quite frankly, we were all sore and exhausted of digging and digging. And eventually, by the time it went to about day 5 or 6, we actually had to start digging for safety reasons because our roofs and stuff were starting to get to be an issue. And in
Yeah.
fact, one of the historical buildings here, the roof collapsed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so even though they had a
Wow.
beautiful angled roof that should have done a good snow
Yeah.
shedding,
But being
it
so wet, it's just so heavy and just,
wet and heavy. Yes, yes,
uh,
yes. So we actually were numb with exhaustion with digging. It was just completely a mess. And then for the last couple of days, it's been, and part of the reason it was so wet and heavy, it was near the freezing mark, which most
mhm.
people think is good, but not when you pull up lake effect moisture. This time of
Right.
year, Lake Huron is not frozen. So all of that moisture comes to us and dumps on us in the form of wet, heavy snow. So
Wow.
I am not exaggerating. 3 to 4 feet
Wow.
of wet, heavy snow over about a 5-day period. Most people were out digging out a minimum of 3 times a day and not keeping up.
Wow. Got to get you one of those snowblower things, right?
Well, it was too wet and heavy. It actually
Oh,
malfunctioned a great amount of anything but a plow
oh, wow.
because it
That's,
was too wet and heavy.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
Jeez.
people were making a lot of grim humor when they saw me out being the Grinch or something, or people would see me out being a panda and saying, "We liked you better as the Grinch. The snow is really pissing us off." You know,
Yeah, that's right. It's not quite the winter wonderland everybody's wanting, right?
So I guess the key thing is that, it had to get done. I was doing it to try and make things easier. There wasn't enough of me to go around for all of the need that there was in the community. There was more seniors and disabled people that I wanted to help. But I was so exhausted just doing public pass that I actually didn't even take care of my own place for the most part. So that was interesting. And now we've got a cold snap where it's about minus 12 Celsius. Not sure. I think that's about 10 Fahrenheit, maybe. Not sure. So that now we aren't getting additional snow, but it is crispy cold.
Yeah.
That people have to dress warmly just to go out and not have skin issues. It does get a lot worse. It does get a lot colder here, but that's about a 7-day period of the changes in temperatures.
And winter, like I said, is still about a week away still. So we're still yet to start winter though, right?
Correct. And we do go as low as minus 25 Celsius here.
Wow, that gets pretty cold. So that pretty much takes care of most things growing in the garden then, right?
Yes and no.
Okay.
I wasn't able to this year, but in past years, I was able to make up my own low tunnels. And with that and some frost blankets and some thought about what these cold weather things were, I was actually able to keep some cold weather crops so that I was able to harvest in through December, and which is very unusual. We usually have killing frost in October. So I got an additional 8 to 10 weeks out of my garden. And then many of those cold weather crops, I took everything off them and abandoned the garden into what I call the real depths of winter, but they grew in the spring. The same plants overwintered themselves and grew and became seeds the following year.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, right on. And that was just with a little bit of protection then, right?
Protection when I was still harvesting them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Up till December. But then I took everything off and said, good luck, little garden. You do what you need to do because I am done. I handheld you and took care of you for 8 or 10 extra weeks than anybody thought was sane. I was able to harvest a range of different cool and cold weather crops. I probably harvested an additional 8 to 10 bushels off a very tiny garden by doing that. And then some of those just overwintered themselves, so that I had kale and Swiss chard, and some of the lettuces even survived themselves over the winter, and then I had seed crop the next year.
Yeah. Wow, that's really great. And again, as you mentioned too, I think Dusty just brought this up too, is that we had a really warm, extended fall this year.
Correct.
Yeah, and I've been talking about this too as well on the show. Same for us here too, so we've been able to, kind of extend that season out, naturally in a sense this year because of that. And so what about this next year or anything? You got any plans for the garden this next year?
Unfortunately, I've had some health setbacks, so I've had to put a number of my garden projects on hold. But one of the things I've been slowly doing is I've switched over so that I do mostly what I call adapted hugelkultur, which is basically a type of simplified hugelkultur that is a sort of like the raised mound culture, but I do it within a garden bed, and I made raised beds. And the key thing is that these raised beds mostly were made with salvaged wood, but as I'm aging and my health isn't quite as good, I'm slowly converting as they need to be replaced. I'm going to metal beds because when I'm 10 or 15 years older and still want to be gardening, I don't want to be rebuilding beds. I'm really hoping
that's a great point.
that everything that I'm doing in terms of garden beds are going to be things like concrete or metal, hoping to kind of have my garden established fully so that if I'm unable to do some of the things that I'm doing now, that I will still be able to keep gardening. So I guess you might say I'm sort of future proofing or senior readiness as a senior citizen, trying to get it so my gardening hobby can kind of age with me. And that's so that's a high priority for me.
Yeah, that's a really, really good idea. I don't have any of the metal beds yet myself. I've been looking to maybe get some here in this next year or whatever. I usually build up and utilize some wood, for our elevated raised beds that we do and stuff, but we could replace those with maybe some of those more metal type of things as we get moving forward as well too, just to, to be sure that those are around, a lot longer than what the wood is. Wood's only going to last, I've got some that have lasted some pretty good years. But like you said, when we get older and, I'm not too far behind you, Jay, but, as we get older, it's less and less likely we're going to be able to get out there and actually make those repairs, replace those types of beds and those sort of things as well, too. So that's a really great idea.
So the way that I'm doing my metal beds, and there are a range of different options out there for people, is that I look for the super bargains. Like I kind of know what's, I'm on a budget, so I'm looking for what's kind of the going price for different styles and types of metal beds. And when I find a super bargain, I make sure that the money is there, and I am doing some very quick research and then grabbing them because, they're very useful. I got some galvanized ones that I hope will age out the rest of my life with me. And then the other thing I've been doing is I'm a bit of a salvager, make do, upcycler, different things.
Yes.
So we've got a metal yard here, like a metal section in the village, in which you can both put salvaged metal, but also take it away. So when people have roof panels and things like that in there, I've been grabbing them and setting them aside to get ready to use that galvanized used roof panels to make my own raised beds, and bookmarking different sites to find out the most efficacious way to build it, et cetera, et cetera. So there's that. And then there's a fellow, and I'm sorry, I can't, while I'm doing the interview, give you a link, maybe a future show, but there's a fellow who's making forms, homemade and also that you can purchase, that are essentially concrete or concrete additive panels, so that you can make your own pieces of raised beds out of concrete. And then
like molds.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Homemade molds, but he's also now monetized them so that he's created them so that you can buy these molds. And I really like his design. And even if I only do it 1 or 2 raised beds at a time, once I do these raised beds in this way, pretty much they're going to be for life. I'm oversimplifying, but essentially, if you can see what a patio paver looks like, well, I'm essentially creating a customized design as a raised bed out of concrete pieces.
Yeah, definitely. That sounds great. I got to get that information for you too. I would love to check that out myself too, because that would probably be a good way to get some raised bed set up as well. Maybe even do a video on that sort of thing. Yeah. Right on. Excellent. Again, too, I just, really want to, wanted to have you on today to make sure that, we're in the year here, and giving everybody an opportunity to see you one more time here, and for all of us to be able to, as a lot of people have already done in the chat too, to be able to thank you for all that you do for our show and for everybody else too who joins with us each week here. So again too, thank you so much for all that you've done here in our previous year, this year, and then we got next year to look forward to too.
Great. And as I mentioned earlier in the interview, I'm open to suggestions and ideas to people. There's a limit to what the JBot's able to do in the time and attention that I've got, but I'm always open to new ideas about how I can make the experience better for people when they're appearing in the chat, so it's more informative, more welcoming. I would love to hear some of your suggestions about how the JBot can function better in ways that works for you. And I'm not quite sure how I can explain this, but in a way, I want to thank both you, Enoch, and the people in the audience, because I've got almost like a compulsiveness about wanting to do this, helping answer the questions or making the education deeper. So in many ways, you guys keep thanking me, but I want to thank you because it's, like I said, an itch I need scratched, that when I see an opportunity for education and information, I want to do it. I really want to do it. So you guys are helping me scratch that itch.
Oh, I love that. It's awesome. Again, too, that's what communities do for each other. You know what I mean? We all work together. We all help each other. We all, contribute what we can to make sure that each one of us are able to, succeed just a little bit more. Each and every opportunity that we can. So again, too, it's just been really great to be able to be on this journey with you, Jay, even though you're mostly in the chat there, and we don't get to see you on most shows. Oh, I will mention this too to everybody. And if you didn't get a chance to go and check out our Halloween live stream, I mean, you'll probably have to go back and watch all of the movies if you don't want to, but there is a good section in there where we had Jay on with us with some costumes, if you want to check out some of Jay's costumes there as well too. So that would be a great opportunity for everybody to do that. And one last time, Jay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all that you contribute. And again, you're welcome as well too for having this opportunity to scratch that itch.
Well, thank you so much for Enoch for giving me a chance to have this role, and thanks to everyone for giving me opportunities to do that, because it fulfills a need for me.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll see you again real soon. I'm sure you'll be right back in the chat here in a moment. But again, thank you so much for joining us here on our last Saturday show of 2024. All right. There we go. Yeah. What a great show today. We're just having some fun. Like I said, We did, have an opportunity to do that through a couple of times this last year's, just, whether or not we had a guest or not for that Saturday or something, was just to kind of have an opportunity where we can just get together and hang out and chat. So we will also work on building that sort of thing out as we're planning out our 2025 season as well too. One of the fun things too that we got to do, especially this last time, I know we tried it once before, but this last time was really fun, was having Saturdays where we get to hang out and have a fun conversation, but also give all of you who join with us in the chat an opportunity to be able to come on the show with us and have a fun conversation. For me, one-on-one, to get to meet all of you as well too, but for everybody else to get to meet you as well as on here on the show. So we'll work on setting up a couple more of those as well too in the 2025 season, so that we can get an opportunity to meet and conversate with each other, not just being in the chat, but also right here live on the show too. So that's one of the real fun things that we got to do this last year too, that I want to do a lot more of this next year too. So right on. Let's see here. Shooting Soul says, thank you. Right on. I want to make sure we're seeing everybody, but right on. Excellent, everybody. Thank you so much again, too, for being here today. This has just been a really fun way to kind of wind down our 2024 growing season here on the show. Yeah, we got lots and lots more coming up too. And, we'll just touch on this real quick here as we're moving forward to 2025. I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we are going to take a couple of weeks off on the show. So there won't be a Saturday and Sunday show for next week. And then the week after that. I did, however, if you go to the YouTube page, I did set up what would be basically like a show link. So it looks like there might be, there'd be a show, but it says that, winter break, no show. But what you can do is, if anybody feels like it, like if you're just here hanging out, and you're used to that's what you do here on Saturdays, and we're hanging out with each other. I know a lot of you love and enjoy having conversations with each other in the chat. That chat will be open. So for next Saturday and Sunday of the next 2 weeks, we will have the chat open. We won't have a show, but the chat will be open if anybody wants to get in there and jump in there and say hi to each other. And I think I'll probably jump in maybe and say hi and see if anybody's around myself, as well too. But I won't be here at home or anything as well, so I won't be able to join in and do live like I usually do when we have no guests weekends as well. I usually like to be here most every weekend if I can, but it's time for a holiday break, and I know we're all out there doing what we can to celebrate with our friends and families and all of that too right now. I'll be doing the same, and I'll definitely try to jump in and see if anybody's in the chat over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll be right back at it too here in just a couple of weeks, which is so that will be, trying to remember, January 4th and 5th. We're going to get right back at it. I've mentioned this a few different times. Last year, when we ended our 2023 season, we ended up taking a couple of months off, and I wanted to not take that much time off this year. So again, it's just going to be those 2 weekends, and then we'll be right back at it January 4th and 5th. And I know there's a few of you here who are joined with me at the Garden Party podcast this last Wednesday. I was on with Destin Noak and Phil's Figs, and we also got to hang out and talk a little bit with Vikram Baliga, the plant prof. He was there as well too. We had a really great fun conversation over there, but towards the end of that show, I did kind of give everybody a heads up. It was an exclusive breaking news, I guess, for them over there this last Wednesday of who our guests were going to be as we're coming back for our 2025 growing season. And I'm really kind of excited about our first weekend back. For our Saturday show on January 4th, we are going to have on the show with us Kyle Haggerty from the Urban Farmstead. I don't know if anybody's familiar. He's got a really great channel on YouTube. Lots and lots of viewers and followers follow Kyle over there at the Urban Farmstead. He's got a really wonderful garden, really great orchards as well too, where we're hopefully maybe it works out too, where maybe we'll have him live from his garden space and you give us a little tour and look at some of the things that he's got growing on there. I've been a big fan of Kyle's for many, many years. I've actually missed an opportunity a few years back to get over to his place to go do a video interview with him over at his farmstead there. And so I really thought it'd be a great idea to catch back up with him again as we're getting our 2025 growing season started. So again, we'll have Kyle Haggerty from the Urban Farmstead with us for our Saturday show, January 4th, when we come back kicking off our 2025 gardening season. And then also too, remember, we are here every weekend here. We do have our Sunday edition of the show, which will be our last show of 2024, actually tomorrow. So tomorrow's show is actually the last show. This is the last Saturday show. So I really look forward and hope to see all of you tomorrow for our Sunday edition of the show, because that will be what is the third Sunday of the month, our gardening book club. And we've been talking about this all month. You know, we've been featuring the book Grow Your Soil by Diane Meisler. Diane will join our good friend Mark Boucher Colbert, who will be with us live tomorrow for In the Garden, and a great fun conversation with Diane about her book, Grow Your Soil. Harness the power of the soil food web to create your best garden ever. So we really look forward to talking to Diane tomorrow for the Sunday edition of the show. But yeah, we're going to do lots and lots more of the same sort of stuff as I mentioned and talked about with the Sunday edition of the show, moving on into 2025, starting off with January 5th. Now, for our Sunday edition, we're going to kick off the 2025 Sunday edition of the show with a gardening roundtable. I'm really excited about this one too, because we've got joining with us for our Sunday roundtable, Gary Pilarchik from the Rusted Garden will be joining with us, as well as Callie Kim. Callie Kim these are two OG YouTube gardeners for sure, and they've done a lot of collaborating together between their channels over the years. So we're going to get them together. We're going to talk a lot about all of those different collaborations, their gardens, 2025 season, all of that sort of stuff. It's going to be really fun to be able to talk with Gary Pilarchik and Callie Kim for our first Sunday edition of the show for the 2025 growing season. And then many, many more to come. As you saw the very first part of the show, the little opening that we do there, I kind of showed you a little clip of us in my office there as I was looking back on all of our different guests, and then kind of showed you there some of the, kind of the mad happenings of what's going on behind the scenes there as I'm working and trying to figure out our different guests and getting them worked out for each of our different weekends. We've got 2 years under our belt now of the Let's Get Growing show. We've had so many awesome, amazing guests. The first year we, double that for here this year, on the Let's Get Growing show. And then 2025, we're going to have even more. So hopefully we'll get a great opportunity to have a lot of the guests that we've had back for the show as well, for more great conversations, but also lots and lots of more new gardeners from the gardening community out there right here live on the show. So we're really looking forward to that as well too, as we move into the 2025 growing season. Yeah, lots and lots going on, man. I can't wait to get things going back again too here. So right on, everybody. Today's just been really wonderful. Thank you all so much for being here with us today. Thanks for the great conversation. Right on. Let's see here. I want to make sure. Dusty says, have a great holiday season, all. Exactly. Yes, definitely. Rick says, Merry Christmas, all. Excellent. Yes, exactly. Right on. Let's see. Let's see here. Dusty says that's what I should look at is a few books on the list. Absolutely, definitely. That's one of the great things about our book club there too. Is we got some really great books that we're covering, all sorts of different stuff too. It's I mean, we've had books. We had Christy Wilhelmy who had a fiction book. You know, we've had really cool books. We started off with a foraging book, talking about foraging for food and that sort of stuff. We're talking with lots of different really expertise gardeners like Tony O'Neill, his simplified gardening book that we talked with. We've dug into one of my favorite aspects of gardening is gardening for mental health, gardening for happiness, and bringing uplifting our spirits in the long run when it comes down to it. We had Karen Hughes' book, Leave Your Troubles Behind, was a really great book that we had on our book club. So again, we had awesome books. Can't forget Ashley Thomas's, for all of you new gardeners out there. That's definitely a definite book you should have, is How to Become a Gardener from Ashley Thomas. Yeah, so we've had some great, awesome books for our book club. We're going to have even better, or I can't say better, but even more really awesome books in our 2025 season as well too. So yeah, lots and lots going on for the Let's Get Growing show. So yeah, everybody, thank you so much again for being here. And if you can, before we finish up here today, click that like button, hit the thumbs up, and definitely subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and hit that bell notification so you'll be notified of all of these upcoming live streams and Let's Get Growing shows as we move into 2025. Definitely share. Let's really grow this. We had a great season this year. We have really grown this show in ways that I was really, really hoping for as we moved into this year. And as we're finishing up the year, I can reflect back and say that, we've really accomplished a lot when it comes to growing this show. So let's work together. Let's, really, really build on the community that we're building here on the Urban Gardener channel. Let's Get Growing show. Let's work together to get the word out there and make sure that people are getting to see and know that we are here each and every Saturday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, with some just the best gardening conversation you're going to find on YouTube and in the gardening community. And I know there's a lot of great shows. I was just on one of the really great shows. Again, like I said, the Garden Party podcast this last week. There's so many great podcasts, so many great live streams and garden creators out there. But I do have to say, that what we have here on the Let's Get Growing show is probably one of the more unique gardening shows that you're going to find here online. So definitely help us make sure that people are finding us here each and every Saturday and Sunday. And definitely everybody follow the links down below in the description to all of the different places that you can find us here, the Urban Gardener Let's Get Growing show. And also too, I want to make sure I'm mentioning to everybody, we do have our our Facebook group. For those of you who are on Facebook, come find us in the link down below to our Facebook group, where we can continue the conversation over there in the group, and be able to also, most we can do in the chat is to share with each other the conversation and to discuss with each other different things. But I know we all have gardens. We all have some stuff that we're talking about. And the Let's Get Growing group on Facebook is a great place where you can go and share pictures. You can even take some video if you want to and share some video of your gardens, or if there's something that's going on or you're discussing here and all of that, that you can get some more advice towards issues that you're dealing with in your garden through the gardening community there at the Let's Get Growing group, as well as maybe help somebody else out who might be dealing with some sort of issues in their gardens. So that's another thing we'll want to do here as we're moving into 2025. I'm going to be contributing a lot more to that group and to some of my other things on social media that we haven't done as much of this year. So that's one of my big goals going into 2025, is to make sure that we're doing a lot more as far as some of those other places that you can find us in the Let's Get Growing community, for sure. So yeah, lots and lots going on. I can't wait to get on to doing a lot of this sort of stuff in 2025. So again, too, I'm just at the point now. I think I'm just kind of rambling on and on about everything. We've been we usually do only about 2 hours. We're moving towards 3 hours on the show today, but you know what? It's our last show of the year, so why not when it comes down to it? So I'm going to go ahead and wind up our show for today. I do have kind of a little bit of a treat for all of you as we wind down the show. And I know this is probably going to give me a little bit of a hit when it comes to YouTube. They'll probably send me a message about this just a little bit later on. But if Jay is in the chat though too, let me get back here. I'm sorry. Let me check it out real quick before I do move on to this here. Serena says Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. Yeah, right on. Let's see. Bowtie Life in the Garden says another good one in the can. Yes, indeed. That's right. Let's see here. Oh, and Rob's heading out too. We're about to head out as well here. Merry Christmas to you all. All right. Oh, and Rob says he jumps in. I'll wait. Okay. Excellent. So if Jay can, maybe Jay will put a link here too. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna play us out with a really fun video made by one of our great viewers in the garden. Bowtie Life in the Garden created a really fun video doing a garden version of The Grinch That Stole Christmas. So I'm going to go ahead and let all of you guys go today. I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow on the Sunday show. Again, we got a great conversation. We'll have Mark here with us live. Diane Meisler talking about her book, Growing, I'm talking so fast. I'm totally starting to stumble over my own tongue. But Grow Your Soil by Diane Meisler tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. I hope you enjoy this video produced by David from Bowtie Life in the Garden. And yeah, definitely come and join with us tomorrow. Come and join with us January 4th and 5th for our shows back. And again, like I said, there are links for our next weekend's shows that you all can jump into. And again, we'll see if all of you are chatting and hanging out. I'll try to jump in over the next couple of weekends as well too. All right, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow on the Sunday edition of the show.
Bad gardener, Mr. Grinch. Your plants are always dead. Your loofah's taken over the world. Your grapes are looking bad, Mr. Grinch. You're a rotten loofah with a greasy black peel. You're full of poison, Mr. Grinch. Your heart's an empty hole. Your brain is full of spiders. You've got garlic in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 27-foot arch trellis. You're a vile one, Mr. Grinch. You have grub worms in your smile. You have all the tender sweetness of a rabid, vicious rat, Mr. Grinch. Given the choice between the two of you, I would take the rabid, vicious rat. You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. You're the king of evil scrod. Your heart's a dead tomato splotch with moldy purple spots, Mr. Grinch. You're a double-decker pickled pig's feet and Bergmansia sandwich with arsenic sauce. You nauseate me, Mr. Grinch, like a stinky corpse flower. You're a polluting horticulturist. You put plastic in your grime, Mr. Grinch. Your soul is an appalling dung heap, overflowing with the most disgusting collection of odiferous compost imaginable, pressed down to rock-hard clumps. You're full of Roundup, Mr. Grinch. You're a nasty, westy squirrel. Your heart is full of dried up okra. Your soul is full of clay, Mr. Grinch. The 3 words that describe you are as follows, and I quote: stink, stank, stunk.